Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. My cells are so arrogant that they will evolve on their own. Chapter 81. Rajan created the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, the three major martial emperors of Zhengguo, and the first powerhouse in the Yan Kingdom. In his legendary life, someone on the Warrior Forum wrote a novel, and he couldn't finish reading it for 3 days and 3 nights. This is Thunder Wudi. Lei Ting Wudi, Lei Hong is here. Li Kunlun's tense nerves were finally relieved, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Ruoxian, we are now saved, Li Kunlun said to the beautiful girl in his arms. This tightrope escape finally came to an end. Lei Ting Wudi rushed to the earthly giant python and stood in the air, like a thunder god descending into the world. His breathing was like thunder. His eyes were like lightning. The strands of his hair and the surface of his body danced with strands of white lightning arcs. But in fact, Lei Hong's form is similar to Li Kunlun, who can, naturally, generate electricity. One is a martial arts expert who has cultivated the Thunder 100 Furnace technique to the extreme and brought the martial arts to the pinnacle. One is the born Thor, that can generate electricity by itself after the evolution of cells, with 60 trillion cells in the body. It seems that the Thunder Wudi is more powerful, but one is the performance of training to the extreme, and the other is just standing at the starting line. The starting point of Li Kunlun seems to be the ending point of Lei Hong. Of course, the current Li Kunlun is still not the opponent of Lei Hong in the realm of Emperor Wu. The earthly python that persevered to kill Li Kunlun finally stopped. It raised its gigantic snake head and rose to the same height as Thunder Wudi, spitting out snake letters. Humanity. The world's giant python opened its mouth slightly, and even spit out human words. Compared with the gigantic snake head of the giant python in the world, Emperor Thunder Wu looked extremely small. But his momentum was not lost at all, and he only spit out one word. Roll. Hi. The earthly python spit out the snake letter and almost licked the Thunder Emperor. Click. A flash of lightning, a thunderbolt from the blue, slashed from the sky to the ground. The confrontation between the two emperor-level existences, just the collision of the momentum, makes the world change color. The sky was gloomy, and there were dense clouds, and strips of dazzling thunder flashed in the dark clouds. Soon, the dark clouds formed a huge vortex and spread. The world has changed. Li Kunlun looked at the darkened sky with a startled expression. The emperor-level confrontation actually directly caused the world to change, as if the entire planet was trembling. The two ultimate life forms in front of them are the most extraordinary beings. The earthly python said, "That human killed my child, I must take revenge." A pair of icy snake eyes stared at Emperor Lei Ting Wu, and then at Li Kunlun and Zhang Ruoxian not far away. That kind of sight is cold and biting, like a hunter staring at his prey. Lei Ting Wudi's body surface was even more radiant, and he said coldly, "This is the territory of human beings, not the restricted area of life. Life is forbidden, you can do whatever you want. But on the human territory, I want to protect all human beings, and I won't allow you to be arrogant, even if you are an emperor-level beast." Thunder Wudi confronted each other tit for tat, not giving an inch. "Hand over that human, I can go back to my place." The earthly python grinned, and the snake letter kept swallowing, as if aggressive. "Impossible." Thunder Wudi's eyes became blazing white, and electric lights flickered. "When you are in the restricted area of life, you fail to keep them, which shows that you are incompetent. Now that you are in the human territory, you don't even want to touch a single hair on them. These two people, I, Lei Hong, have secured it." Like the voice of Emperor Thunder Wudi, lightning continued to smash from the dark clouds, and the thunder roared. The earthly python stared at the Thunder Martial Emperor. Between the two emperor-level creatures, the atmosphere was so heavy that it solidified. "Do you want to go to war?" Thunder Wudi grabbed with one hand, condensing a spear of the god of thunder, with great intention to shoot. "I'll be back. At that time, all the human beings in the world will be swallowed by me." A long time. The earthly python threw a cruel word, turned the snake's head, twisted the snake's body, and left silently. Emperor Thunder Wu looked at the figure of the earthly python returning to the restricted area of life, snorted coldly, and flew back to Li Kunlun. Quote. The mighty Thunder Wudi hung 3 black lines on his forehead, frowned and said, "Why don't you wear clothes?" Forehead. Li Kunlun suddenly realized that he was naked and had no clothes on. As early as when he fought against the ancient Titan ape man, the monarch-level beast, after Li Kunlun became a giant ape, his clothes were burst. Later, when he met Zhang Ruoxian, Li Kunlun activated his ability to control metal and used countless iron sand to form an iron coat. Until just now, Li Kunlun fought against the worldly giant python again, the iron clothes burst, and he was in a hurry to escape, and he didn't have time to condense another iron clothes. I was careless. Li Kunlun quickly grasped the claws and buckled with 5 fingers. Brush brush. Some broken metal was sucked up from the ground and attached to the body, forming a simple metal clothing that could cover the body. Good way. Thunder Woody's eyes lit up and he exclaimed. He didn't doubt anything. At most he thought that Li Kunlun had practiced a mysterious and profound martial arts. In fact, martial arts practiced to a high level, martial arts can be enlightened. A lot of martial arts are so magical, they are already close to supernatural powers. So Li Kunlun's performance, Thunder Woody didn't think too much. Moreover, even if Li Kunlun had any secrets, the Thunder Martial Emperor, who had already stood at the pinnacle of all beings, would not covet anything. This is the mind, state of mind, and self-confidence of a Zhengguo Wudi. Ruoxian's niece. When Emperor Thunder Wu saw the beautiful girl in Li Kunlun's arms, his face sank. You know her? Li Kunlun asked. Why don't you know each other? Emperor Lei Ting stretched out a finger and lightly tapped it between Zhang Ruoxian's eyebrows. A weak current flowed through her limbs instantly, like a pacemaker, awakening Zhang Ruoxian who was in a coma. Zhang Ruoxian snorted and opened his eyes. Why did I faint again? We're still alive. Zhang Ruoxian glanced at Li Kunlun in a daze, looked around, and immediately cried out. Yeah, Uncle Ray. Zhang Ruoxian's entire face changed color, like a mouse hitting a cat. Oops, something bad happened. She wanted to run away, but could only lie in Li Kunlun's arms, unable to escape. Humph, you sneaked out to make your great-grandfather worry, and even ran to the restricted area of life, provoking the worldly python. Do you know how to write the word, dead? When you go back, let's see how your great-grandfather takes care of you. Thunder Woody snorted coldly and reprimanded severely. Zhang Ruoxian lowered her head like a little girl, not daring to refute a sentence. It seems that she is no different from the girl who made mistakes. Who would have thought that she is a peerless master in the realm of martial emperor? In the end, what kind of power and what kind of family can cultivate such a young Emperor Wu? Li Kunlun is even more curious about Zhang Ruoxian's identity, and has some inferences in his heart. Seeing Zhang Ruoxian being pitiful, he immediately changed the subject and said, Lord Wudi, why did you let the worldly python go? You know, in front of you is Lei Hong, one of the 3 major Zhengguo martial emperors, known as the #1 powerhouse in the Yan Kingdom. Seeing the injured earthly python, why not take a strong shot and kill this emperor-level beast? Lei Hong glanced at Li Kunlun. The man standing at the pinnacle of martial arts, with his hands on his back, said angrily, do you think emperor-level beasts are so easy to kill? You can escape from the forbidden area of life, it means that you have at least played against the mortal python. How does it feel? Li Kunlun closed his eyes, thinking about every detail of the battle with the earthly python. He is extremely talented in fighting, and when he is strong, and many moves are developed in battle. Such as the nuclear explosion Gale Jade, the electromagnetic gun version of Thor's gun, the iron hoop of the earth, the red lotus roar, etc., are all powerful and unique tricks that can kill monarch-level beasts. But the bombardment on the earthly python did not even cause much injury. Lei Hong said, the earthly python has the hardest scales in the world, let alone a nuclear bomb. Even if I strike with all my strength, it may not be able to kill the earthly python. Besides, this is a no-man's land, but it's not far from the nearest human survival base city. 773. If you really fight it, let alone whether you can kill him or not, at least humans in a radius of 100 miles may not be spared. Li Kunlun's heart sank to the bottom. Emperor-level beasts and monarch-level beasts are simply 2-dimensional creatures, and they are too powerful. It is simply impossible to calculate how terrifying the emperor-level beasts are based on the strength of the monarch-level beasts. There are several more king-level beasts like the earthly python. Tiamat, the ultimate demon dragon entrenched in Everest, Kraken, the giant sea monster in the western seas, feathered serpent flying across the ocean, Leviathan, the ghostly dragon whale living in the deepest trenches, etc. Lei Hong sighed, and his voice became low and hoarse. Li Kunlun's expression moved slightly, and his eyes flickered a few times. He didn't know much about emperor-level beasts. As far as the name is concerned, it is indeed ordered by monsters in myths and legends. Tiamat, a figure in Babylonian mythology, represents the sea and has the meaning of the mother of life. As a beast, it is completely reversed, representing fire and death. Kraken, the giant monster of the North Sea, needless to say, is a sea monster in Norse mythology. The same monsters from Norse mythology, there are also the worldly giant python Jemengard and the giant wolf Fenrir from the first battle. Leviathan comes from the Bible, meaning crack, and the shape happens to be a whale. And feathered serpent, the god of America. These emperor-level vicious beasts are not weaker than the earthly pythons. Even if it is strong enough to the realm of Thunder Woody, you can still feel a kind of suffocating pressure. Lei Hong said, in the human camp, there is no peerless powerhouse that can crush and kill the emperor-level beasts alone. If it is born, the human camp will not be far from defeating the beasts and regaining control of Blue Star. Li Kunlun said decisively, yes, definitely. Seeing that Li Kunlun was so determined, Lei Hong did not know where his confidence came from. Although the emperor-level beasts are strong, it is fortunate that the human emperor is not weak, and the two camps remain in a weak balance. Lei Hong smiled. The back waves of the Yangtze River push the front waves, and I hope that among you juniors, the first martial god on the planet can be born. Okay, Niece Zhang is seriously injured. I want to take her back to base city number 1 for treatment. Can you take a seat? Li Kunlun pursed his lips a few times. I wanted to agree to take this opportunity to meet the largest living base city of mankind. But worried about Zhang Cheng's parents and sister, Li Kunlun had to decline. Thank you for your kindness, Lord Woody, I still have some things to do. I'll go next time. Don't call me Lord Woody, if you don't dislike how old I am, just call Brother Lei. Li Kunlun was not hypocritical, and called Lei Hong as Brother Lei. If there are outsiders present, they must be surprised to break their jaws. What kind of identity does Lei Hong call a brother-in-law with a little-known boy? It is too unbelievable. I don't know your name or where you are from. Lei Hong held Zhang Ruoxian with his strong and masculine true chi while holding his palms, and asked peacefully. Li Kunlun did not hide it, and said bluntly, Li Kunlun, from Zhongcheng. Lei Hong recited a few times silently, remembering Li Kunlun's name in his heart. Zhang's niece is seriously injured, I'll take her back first. If you are free another day, I will definitely come to visit and thank you for your life-saving grace to niece Zhang. Don't let it go. Lei Hong, like the Zhonghu people in ancient martial arts novels, has a kind of chivalrous spirit and clenched his fists towards Li Kunlun. The grace of saving life, Ruoxian has no teeth to forget. Zhang Ruoxian stood beside Lei Hong, waving his slender jade hand, and his eyes were a little reluctant. Although the time with Li Kunlun was short, Li Kunlun fled thousands of miles behind her back, leaving an indelible trace in Zhang Ruoxian's heart. I'll go to base city number 1 to find you when I get a chance. Li Kunlun waved goodbye. Ruoxian, go. Lei Hong wrapped Zhang Ruoxian with his strong infuriating energy and turned around. Ah, by the way, Brother Lei, do you have any token for me? Seeing that Lei Hong was leaving, Li Kunlun hurriedly shouted. A token. Lei Hong threw a token. Brother, keep this one, don't lose it. With a click, they turned into a white thunder, rushed into the sky, and left at a high speed. Li Kunlun reached out and grabbed it, catching the token Lei Hong dropped. What brand is this? Li Kunlun looked back and forth at this rough and heavy iron token. On the front of the token is a lightning bolt that runs through the clouds, vaguely flickering like a thunderbolt. On the reverse side are two characters, Patrol, in seal script, with iron hooks and silver strokes, which are full of historical heaviness. Li Kunlun didn't know what the token was, so he simply put it away. Going back, it is estimated that parents will be worried to death. And my sister Xiao Yu, will she think I'm dead and her eyes are swollen from crying? Li Kunlun immediately entered the Three Emperors mode. Boom, flames spewed, thunder entangled, Li Kunlun rushed back to Zhongcheng base city at the fastest speed. Zhongcheng first-class product. After the curtain wall glass of the whole building was strangled and shattered, reinstallation has begun. Withstanding the impact of the huge beast tide, the Zhongcheng base city has become devastated and in ruins. The Li family, who lives in the top-floor duplex of the first grade in Zhongcheng, is still gloomy and bleak. A few days passed, and there was no news of Li Kunlun, the eldest son. Mother Li washed her face with tears all day. Father Li's cigarette addiction became heavier, one after another, all day long. The cigarette butts of the ashtray are the same as green onions. Because a large hole was broken in the defensive barriers of the Xicheng district, many tower masters were needed to cooperate with other units to rush to repair it overnight, but Father Li did not go. Sister Li Xiaoyu practiced even harder. Apart from being immersed in the practice every day, she is looking for her brother all over the city. In this extraordinary period, the Zhongcheng base city is directly closed, and no warriors are allowed to enter or leave the city. As the host parasitic nematode dies, other parasites also die. For the sake of safety, Wu Zun of the 4 major towns ordered to investigate the survivors in the whole city. After confirming that there is really no dead nematode parasite, I can rest assured. To prevent other monarch-level beasts from coming, King Baiming Wu guarded the Xicheng district of Zhongcheng base city and did not leave. Suddenly, King Huo Ran of Baiming Wu opened his eyes. What a powerful breath! King Wu of Baiming stood up and looked up at the sky. At the end of the horizon, there is a vast and barren no man's land. A blue-gold light escaped through the sky at an unimaginable speed, flying over like a meteor piercing the sun. Who is coming? King Baiming Wu sat cross-legged at the head of the remaining steel fortress city and shouted violently. I saw the Qi Dan in his body revolving, and the majestic true Qi like 100 rivers and seas surged out. On Baiming Wu Wang, a whale phantom, from small to large, reflected in the sky and quickly solidified. Wu, the martial spirit of King Baiming Martial King actually made a deep and distant cry, setting off waves of ripples in the space. The speed of the escape light in the distance did not decrease, and it flew straight towards the base city of Zhongcheng. When approaching the defensive barrier of Xicheng district, Deng Guang slowed down and prepared to stop. Courageous. Baiming Wu Wang misunderstood and thought that Deng Guang was going to force his way into the Zhongcheng base city. S-level martial arts, Hunyuan de Luo hand. With his incomparably strong true Qi, King Baiming Wu slapped it with one palm, turning it into a palm the size of a football field, spanning a kilometer, and grabbed Deng Guang strongly and domineeringly. Looking from a distance, this infuriating hand is chaotic, with a little bit of starlight hidden in it. When you grab it with one hand, there is an illusion of picking the stars and taking the moon, which is extremely strong. I have to say that the strength of Zhenjiang Martial King is so terrifying. The escape light stopped abruptly, and greeted him with a palm. During the course of the attack, the cyan wind in the palm of the hand revolved and converged to form a jade wind bomb, which then expanded rapidly and became larger. Call out. Chao Chao Fengyu and Hunyuan de Luo collided with each other. Instead of destroying the sky and destroying the earth as imagined, the super wind jade expanded in an instant, engulfing the hands of Hunyuan de Luo, and then shrinking and annihilating. When the light stopped, the thunder and fire dissipated, revealing a figure in black iron clothes. It was Li Kunlun who came back quickly. He put away the flames and thunder, and stood in the sky, looking at the king of Baiming Wu at the head of the city. What a powerful strength! What martial skill did he use to easily block the old master's Hunyuan de Luo hand? King Wu of Baiming was shocked and set off a storm, but the surface was still calm and majestic. You are King Wu of Hefang, and why did you come to Zhongcheng? King Wu of Baiming didn't dare to hold on, so he stood up, flew into the air, and faced Li Kunlun face to face. He looked at Li Kunlun cautiously, with suspicious eyes flashing in his eyes. Who is this person? Why does he have a familiar aura? Have I seen him? And his escape light, how similar is it to the human-shaped beast that this old man chased and killed before? Isn't it some kind of monarch-level beast that turned into a humanoid? Before this, there was no record of the beast turning into a human form. But not long ago, the ancient Titan ape man broke this record. This old Wu Wang, won't you recognize me? Li Kunlun's thoughts changed, and then he turned over and took out the token given by Emperor Thunder Wu, and held it up. Who am I? You know this. Emperor Thunder Martial Emperor's special envoy for patrolling the territory. Originally still doubting Li Kunlun, King Baiming Wu, who secretly puffed up his true energy from under his sleeve, was taken aback. The special envoy to patrol the Xinjiang region, seeing your orders is like seeing Emperor Lei Tingwu in person. King Baiming quickly dissipated his true energy, clasped his fists with both hands, bowed and said, King Baiming of Zhenjiang in coastal areas, meet the special envoy for patrolling Xinjiang. Xinjiang Special Envoy. The identity that can make Zhenjiang Wu Wang Yibai. Li Kunlun blinked, surprised. Looks like Brother Lei gave me a good token. Li Kunlun turned his hand to put away the token, and put one hand behind his back, coughed dryly, and said solemnly, King of Baiming Wu, if you want to come, you also know why I came to Zhangcheng this time, right? Baiming Wu Wang's expression changed again, and he became uneasy. Is it possible that the special envoy from the Xinjiang patrol came here to investigate the fact that the Zhangcheng base city encountered a huge beast tide not long ago? Li Kunlun slowly flew to the Xicheng district of Zhangcheng base city. In the gap of the magnificent steel barrier, several hanging towers are hoisting the steel and rebuilding the barrier. On the ground, the vehicles on the construction site went back and forth, extremely busy. King Baiming Wu followed closely behind Li Kunlun, and replied, there is a reason for the super beast tide, please listen to me slowly. As Li Kunlun walked, he listened to King Wu of Baiming talking about the cause and effect of the super animal tide. When he heard the dead nematode, Li Kunlun narrowed his eyes and suddenly remembered something. When I was in the official martial artist exam, I said how I could see a dead martial artist come back to life, fish in troubled waters, and board the fire dragon train. It now seems that most of the time, it was controlled by parasitic nematodes and became the host. After listening to King Wu of Baiming's report on the casualties and losses caused by the huge beast tide, Li Kunlun's heart was heavy. 37,582 people died, including civilians, but also soldiers and soldiers who died. Nearly 100,000 injuries, or more. It turns out that after the city was destroyed, the unarmed humans were exposed to the beasts, and they were so vulnerable. That day, when the city was destroyed, Li Kunlun went directly to the war with the ancient Titan apes. Just after killing the ancient Titan ape man, before he could even dig out the soul crystal, the king of Baiming, who was driven over, chased him to the restricted area of life. Li Kunlun didn't have much intuitive feeling about the tsunami-like beast tide pouring into the city. It was not until he heard the casualties reported by King Wu of Baiming that Li Kunlun truly understood the terrifying nature of the super beast tide and the danger of beasts. After the city was destroyed, Li Kunlun killed the ancient Titan ape man with the fastest speed. Then, using the power of the king, the giant beast tide receded. If there is no Li Kunlun, I am afraid that the disaster brought by the monarch-level beast tide that day will only be greater. In the Zhangcheng base city with a population of several 100,000, at least half of the civilians will die. Seeing Li Kunlun's gloomy face, King Wu of Baiming thought he was going to get angry, so he immediately shouted, Unfilial son, don't hurry up and come over to me. Earth-shattering voices echoed over the construction site of the Baikeng Defensive Barrier Restoration Project. Coming, Bei Luo Wuzun immediately flew down from the wall of the steel barrier. Lao Su's Lao Su, what do you call Lao Su? Bai Luo Wuzun thought suspiciously. He saw his old man standing beside a young man with a look of awe. Who is he to make my old man so respectful? Bei Luo Wuzun's eyes flickered. Unfilial son, come over quickly. King Wu of Baiming glared furiously, grabbed Wuzun Bailuo to Li Kunlun, and said, Master Special Envoy, it is my fault that caused the tragedy in Zhangcheng base city. If you want to punish him. You can bring the evil son back to base city number 1 and hand it over to the 3 Lord Wudi for trial. Bailuo Wuzun was suddenly stunned. This is a real daddy. Master Special Envoy, Lao Su. I'm not guilty of death, right? I will definitely keep my life, kill a few more beasts, and die on the battlefield. It is considered a proper death. Bailuo Wuzun knelt down on one knee and clasped his fists. Li Kunlun looked at Bei Luo Wuzun with a half-smile. This is the Wuzun of the 4 major towns in Zhangcheng. It belongs to the king who cannot be seen on weekdays, is completely aloof, and truly controls Zhangcheng. Unexpectedly, now he is like a subordinate, kneeling in front of him on one knee. Li Kunlun raised his hand to hold up Bailuo Wuzun, and said with a pretentious manner, this envoy is not an unreasonable person. You have been negligent about the overthrow of the Zhongcheng base city, but the crime is not fatal. 5. If you can perform well in life and atone for your sins, naturally it will be better. Bailuo Wuzun felt his heart and quickly thanked Li Kunlun. Seeing that his son was no longer in danger, King Baiming changed the subject and said, since the special envoy is the envoy of Emperor Lei Tingwu, why not go to the Lei Tingwu Hall in Zhongcheng? Thundering Martial Arts Hall. Well, let's go and have a look. Li Kunlun nodded. He pondered that he should be able to meet his sister in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. I don't know if my sister is in the Thunder Martial Arts Academy or at home. Li Kunlun thought to himself. King Wu of Baiming said, Special Envoy, wait a moment, let's prepare the vehicle, and then go by car. Why not just fly away? Li Kunlun asked. King Wu of Baiming coughed lightly, and said, each base city has regulations, generally not allowing warriors above Wuzong to fly. In addition, flying to the Thunder Martial Arts Hall is somewhat inconsistent with the status of a special envoy. Baiming Wawang added, of course, if the special envoy finds it troublesome and wants to fly, we can immediately set off and fly over. Forget it, they're all here anyway, don't be in a hurry, you can prepare the vehicles. Li Kunlun said. Baiming Wawang gave Bailuo Wuzun a look, asked him to call a car, and called Thunder Wugwan by the way. After a while, 3 black limousines, and an extended version of the top luxury car, were parked at the gate of the construction site of the restoration project of the defensive barrier. Envoy, please get in the car. King Baiming Wu made a, please, gesture. The driver got out of the car and opened the door for Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun sits in a stretched top luxury car. King Wu of Baiming shared a car with him. As for the Wuzun of the 4 great towns, Bailuo Wuzun took another black limousine. The convoy started and drove to the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Li Xiaoyu, as usual, came to the training area and began to practice desperately. There is a device called Thunder Pond in the training area, which helps the members of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall to convert their true chi into thunder attributes when they practice the exercises. Generally speaking, thunder pools carry high-intensity voltages, which will bring severe paralysis and pain to practitioners. Even if it is Wuzong and military commander-level powerhouses, when they use the Thunder Pond to cultivate, it will not exceed 1 or 2 hours. And Li Xiaoyu, who is madly cultivating, will be in the Thunder Pool for 3 or 4 hours, or even longer. The Iron Maiden is here again. Oh my god, she's crazy to cultivate like this. If it goes on like this for a long time, even if the body is really made of steel, it will collapse. 5. Hey, maybe her brother's death hit her too hard. The members of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall in the training area saw Li Xiaoyu and talked in a low voice. They admired, feared, and distressed Li Xiaoyu. The Thunder Martial Arts Hall in Zhongcheng Base City has never received such a desperate cultivator. My brother is not dead. Li Xiaoyu, with ponytails, plain jeans and a white shirt, glanced at them and said stubbornly and firmly. Without Li Kunlun, Li Xiaoyu didn't even think about dressing up. My brother won't die, you don't understand how powerful he is. My brother is a military general. He can kill Wuzong in one blow, and he will not die. The others shook their heads. Oh, what a pity. When I was young, because my brother died, the blow was too great, and I was about to lose my mind. Li Xiaoyu's brother is only 19 or 20 years old, how could he be a military general? Shish, stop talking, do you want to be beaten? In the past few days, the Thunder Martial Arts Academy said that Li Kunlun's dead members were beaten by Li Xiaoyu. It may be because Li Xiaoyu refined all 10 chi condensing pills. It may be that Li Xiaoyu was hit too hard. It may also be that Li Xiaoyu is extremely talented in martial arts, coupled with enough hard work. She has successfully broken through from the realm of martial arts to the realm of Wuzong. Such a promotion speed has never been seen before in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall in the entire Zhongcheng Base City. Those martial arts members who are the same age as Li Xiaoyu, or who are a few years older than Li Xiaoyu, are naturally not the opponents of Li Xiaoyu in the Wuzong realm. At this time, a martial arts apprentice rushed into the training area. She shouted excitedly, "The latest news, a big man is coming to the Thunder Martial Art Museum, and a big man is coming to the Thunder Martial Art Museum." What big man? How can you use the word, come, when you come to our Thunder Martial Arts Academy? The martial arts apprentice panted and replied, "This news is absolutely true. I heard that Bailuo Wuzun personally accompanied him." Bailuo Wuzun. Everyone was stunned. Who is Bailuo Wuzun? That is Wuzun, one of the 4 major towns in Zhongcheng Base City. Can be accompanied by a Juncheng Wuzun, at least Juncheng Wuzun, or even a giant of Wuwang level. Could it be that a martial king level giant has arrived? I heard that after the beast tide receded, a martial king of Zhongcheng came to Zhongcheng and guarded it for a few days. Could it be him? It doesn't sound like it. Go and have a look. The apprentices and members of the training area did not continue to practice. All heard the wind and went to the main entrance of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall to watch the excitement. The apprentice who came to convey the news looked at Li Xiaoyu, who had already entered the Thunder Pond, and asked loudly, "Li Xiaoyu, are you not going?" "Don't go. Not interested." Li Xiaoyu closed her eyes, her pretty face turned pale. She endured 100,000 volts of current, passed through her limbs and bones, and then practiced the method of wind and thunder. Thunder Martial Arts Hall, the main entrance. The vast majority of apprentices and members gathered here. Even Chairman Zhou of the branch hall, also leaning on crutches, stood at the front of the crowd and waited patiently. After a while, several black limousines stopped in front of the gate of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, one after another. The extended version of the top luxury car is parked in the middle of the fleet. The door opened, and people kept getting out of the car. After Bailuo Wuzun got off the car, the crowd immediately exclaimed, "It's Bailuo Wuzun, it's really Bailuo Wuzun." Backquote, "My God, Wuzun of the 4 major towns and cities that you can't see at all, actually came." Bailuo Wuzun got off the second car, then what kind of big man will be sitting in the main car? Elder Zhou, leaning on a cane, hurried forward and saluted Bailuo Wuzun. Zhou Chengsheng has seen Bailuo Wuzun. Bailuo Wuzun wore a large military cape, nodded slightly, not angry but arrogant. President Zhou does not need to be too polite. Immediately, their eyes fell on the extended version of the top luxury car. In this car is the special inspection envoy of Lord Lei Tingwudi. President Zhou was excited and nervous, looking forward to the people who appeared in the car. Emperor Wu of the 3 kingdoms of Yan Kingdom, because he often retreated and practiced, either guarding the dangerous restricted area of life, or performing other tasks, and rarely walked around the outside world. Therefore, Emperor Wu of the 3 major towns can each choose a special envoy to represent himself and walk outside. The Iron and Steel Martial Emperor and the Taiji Martial Emperor have long had their own envoys. As the most powerful person in the Yan Kingdom, Emperor Lei Tingwu had not yet elected his special envoy. President Zhou did not expect that he would meet the special envoy of Emperor Lei Tingwu today. Bailuo Wuzun called him and said that when the special envoy of the Thunder Wudi came, Zhao Zhaohao, President Zhou was very excited. The door is open. The first to come out was King Baiming Wu. Baiming Wuwang is the Zhenjiang Wuwang, and the Zhongcheng Base City is also under his jurisdiction. President Zhou has seen him. Meet Lord Wuwang of Zhenjiang. President Zhou saluted again. Baiming Martial King nodded slightly and nodded, Although Zhou Chengsheng is the branch president of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, for the king of the northern underworld, who is the martial king of Zhenjiang, his identity is naturally quite different, so he can just nod his head. Immediately afterwards, one foot stretched out of the carriage and stepped on the ground. Chairman Zhou and everyone in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall held their breath and focused on the car. "Are you going out? Who is this big man?" "I don't know, don't talk, just watch him come out." Li Kunlun walked out of the carriage and stood in front of everyone, smiling slightly. President Zhou was dumbfounded, and the metal crutch in his hand fell straight to the ground. Li Xiaoyu," Elder Zhou cried out in a voiceless voice. How could President Zhou believe that the long-awaited special envoy for the Xinjiang Patrol turned out to be Li Kunlun? After the official martial artist exam, he had attracted Li Kunlun, how could he not remember? Is it really Li Xiaoyu? President Zhou rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he was blind. What Li Xiaoyu? Baiming Martial King frowned and said displeased Ly. President Zhou, in the face of the special envoy of Emperor Thunder Martial Emperor, can you also call my little friend? The identity of the special envoy to patrol Xinjiang is too special. Seeing the order is like seeing the emperor, which is equivalent to one of the 3 major township emperors visiting in person. Otherwise, why would King Baiming, who is the king of Zhenjiang, be so respectful? What he respects is not Li Kunlun, but the Thunder Wuti represented by Li Kunlun. Quote. Chairman Zhou was at a loss and did not know how to explain it to King Wu of Baiming. He's really Li Xiaoyu. He took part in the official martial artist exam before, and I was the invigilator. Formal martial artist exam. King Baiming snorted coldly, waved his sleeves and scolded, ridiculous. Nonsense. Do you think an apprentice martial artist who takes part in the official martial artist exam can resist the old master's Hunyuan de Luo hand? Quote. Chairman Zhou looked embarrassed and looked at Li Kunlun again. Could it be that there are really people who look so similar in the world? One is a formal martial artist, and the other is the special envoy of Lord Thunder Martial Emperor. The two are vastly different and cannot be the same person. Looks like I was wrong. Chairman Zhou Lao immediately bowed and apologized. Master Special Envoy, it was Zhou who was reckless, please forgive me, Master Special Envoy. Li Kunlun raised his hand to hold up President Zhou, and said with a half-smile, President Zhou, you read that right, I am Li Kunlun. What? President Zhou suddenly raised his head and stared at Li Kunlun in disbelief. Li Kunlun replied, it's a showdown, I don't pretend, I'm really Li Kunlun, and I'm also the special envoy of Xinjiang. I originally just wanted to ask Brother Lei for a token, so that I can go to other human survival-based cities in the future, so it is easy to get in and out. Unexpectedly, Brother Lei threw me the token of the special envoy of the Xinjiang patrol. Li Kunlun shook his head, a little helpless. He really didn't know what this token was, and he didn't expect to become a special envoy for patrolling the border. In the eyes of others, representing the highest honor and wanting to be a special envoy for patrolling Xinjiang, for Li Kunlun, it is nothing. Because Li Kunlun felt that he did not need to represent anyone. He is Li Kunlun is him. Ray, Brother Ray. Chairman Zhou, Bailuo Wuzun, including Baiming Wawang and other giants, were collectively stunned. Brother Lei means. Baiming Wawang asked word by word. Li Kunlun said indifferently. Brother Lei, aha means Lei Hong, Emperor of Thunder Wu. Boom. The three boss-level figures, their heads roared, like 1,000 thunders, and the ground exploded. What kind of qualifications do you have to be brothers with Emperor Lei Tingwu? It's completely different from the Special Inspection Envoy. The Special Envoy for Inspections walked outside on behalf of Emperor Wu. Brotherhood is different. It belongs to the existence that is recognized by Emperor Lei Tingwu, has the heart to make friends, and believes that the present or the future can be on an equal footing. Bailuo Wuzun said in a daze, you dare to call Lei Tingwudi? Brother Lei. Li Kunlun spread his hands and said, Brother Lei asked me to call him that. I see how old he is to me, and being my elder brother doesn't count as taking advantage of me. President Zhou was completely dumbfounded. He bent down and picked up his cane. His hands on crutches were shaking. The young man who once stretched out an olive branch and wanted to recruit can now be called Brother Lei Tingwu Emperor, the founder of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy. The vicissitudes of life are changing with each passing day, and Li Kunlun has not changed like this. Baiming Wawang's face became gloomy, like an old lion, with a mighty and terrifying aura fluctuating. A strong wind blew up from the flat ground, pushing old President Zhou back and forth again and again. What the hell is going on? I need an explanation. The veins on Baiming Wawang's forehead jumped violently, and his voice was like an old lion roaring. No, Dad is really angry. Bailuo Wuzun secretly said that it was not good. King Baiming Wu stood on the spot, and the aura on his body was released, forming waves of strong winds that pushed outwards. In front of the main entrance of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, the wind was surging, and the wind suddenly blew, so that everyone could not open their eyes, and their bodies fell backwards. What the hell is going on? It's a formal martial artist for a while, a special envoy to patrol the border for a while, and a brother to Emperor Thunder Wudi for a while. I think it might be a farce. After all, it would be too far-fetched to be a brother to Emperor Lei Tingwu. I still believe a little bit about the special envoy to patrol Xinjiang, but I don't believe it at all with Lord Wudi as brothers. The many apprentices and members of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall seemed to have exploded, and there was a lot of discussion. It's over. Baiming Wawang is angry. His old man is a veteran Zhenjiang Martial King, and he can rank third on the Martial King list. This liar is bold enough. even King Wu dares to lie, and even the special envoy of the Xinjiang patrol dares to pretend. The energy is raging, like the waves of the sea, lining up all around. The people around King Wu of Beiming were pushed backwards, only Li Kunlun stood there, motionless. Explain. Li Kunlun smiled lightly. Why do you need to explain? It's me who participated in the official martial artist, and it's me who wants to come to Brother Lei's token, no need to explain. Li Kunlun flipped the palm of his hand and threw the token of the special envoy to the northern underworld. King Wu of Beiming grabbed his palm and squeezed with his 5 fingers, trying to abolish this fake token. As a result, he exerted force and found that the fake token did not move at all. An unexpected look appeared on the face of King Beiming Wu. Holding the token of the Xinjiang special envoy in his hand, he immediately poured his true qi into it. Clap! This seemingly ordinary iron lump burst out with dazzling white lightning, rushing into the air, and flashing past. The token of the real Xinjiang special envoy. The expression of King Wu of Beiming was stagnant, blue and white, and became colorful. You are helping me identify the 3 soul crystals to see if they are true or false, so I can sell them on the martial artist forum. Li Kunlun threw the soul crystal at random. Piece. 2 pieces. 3 pieces. Could it be the soul crystal of a commander-level beast? Beiming Wuwang caught the soul crystal and thought subconsciously. Commander-level beasts can condense soul crystals. Before Li Kunlun hunted a giant ape that was a commander-level beast, and sold his soul crystal for 1.3 billion, making him a fortune. This time, the 3 are all monarch-level soul crystals. Li Kunlun smiled and waited for the verification of King Wu of Beiming. For a long time, the King of Beiming activated his true qi, submerged into the soul crystal, and stimulated the soul core in the soul crystal. Roar, hiss, wow, a black giant tiger, a fire-crowned pterosaur, and a giant spider. 3 huge ferocious beast phantoms appeared together in the sky above the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. That ferocious and terrifying phantom that carried an unparalleled sense of oppression scared many low-level warriors and fell to the ground. This time, King Beiming Wu really showed a startled expression. Chongming Black Tiger, Fire-Crowned Pterosaur, Pantian God-Killing Spider. The soul crystals of 3 monarch-level beasts. What else needs to be explained? What more needs to be proved? Strength is the best proof. 3,000 worlds, the strong will always be respected. No need for a fight at all. A real Xinjiang special envoy token and 3 soul crystals of monarch-level beasts are enough to explain everything. As for wondering how a formal martial artist could hunt and kill monarch-level soul crystals, he was recognized by the Thunder Martial Emperor as his brother. It doesn't matter at all. If you don't understand it, you don't understand it. Li Kunlun would not explain at all. No one would ask questions. Because, the secret of the strong, the weak are not even qualified to covet. They usually call this miraculous, open-ended life a legend. King Beiming Wu put away his turbulent aura, and laughed out loud. As expected to be the brother of Emperor Lei Tingwu, as expected to be the special envoy to patrol the Xinjiang region, ha ha ha. Awesome. This old man admires. King Beiming Wu was ordered by the special envoy to patrol the Xinjiang, and 3 soul crystals of monarch-level beasts were returned to Li Kunlun, and he held a fist. There are many offenses, and I also ask the special envoy to forgive me. It doesn't matter, it's normal for King Beiming to be cautious. Li Kunlun put away the special envoy order and 3 monarch-level ferocious beast soul crystals. Wait, please, the King of Beiming, to accompany me to the Martial Artist Association to be a third-party witness, and then I can sell the 3 soul crystals on the Martial Artist Forum. King Wu of Beiming stroked his beard and laughed loudly. It's easy to say, easy to say. The King of Beiming just now, who respected the special envoy order to patrol the Xinjiang region, was the Thunder Wudi represented by Li Kunlun. The current Beiming Wu king respects Li Kunlun himself. The two are completely different. Master Special Envoy, can I still visit the Thunder Martial Art Museum? King Wu of Beiming asked. Visit, come here, of course you have to take a turn. Li Kunlun said with a smile, looking at President Zhou, who was dumbfounded. President Zhou, is my sister in the Thunder Martial Arts Hall? President Zhou returned to his senses and said quickly, yes. This girl, she practiced too hard, I'm worried her body won't be able to take it. Li Kunlun frowned and said, I would like to ask President Zhou to lead the way. Okay, Li Xiaoyu, Special Envoy, please come with me. Chairman Zhou leaned on crutches and quickly walked in front to lead the way. The crowd crowded at the gate was completely blinded. A second ago, they thought Li Kunlun was a fake Xinjiang Special Envoy. Brag and don't make drafts, dare to say that he is a brother to Emperor Lei Tingwu. But the next second, this fake Xinjiang Patrol Envoy turned into a genuine one. The apprentices and members who were blocking the door all made way for a passage for Li Kunlun, President Zhou, King Wu of Beiming and others to pass through. These giants are better than the other. President Zhou, who was usually the owner of the museum, became the youngest of them instead. Elder Zhou took Li Kunlun and went straight to the training area. If I guessed correctly, Li Xiaoyu should practice in the Thunder Pond in the training area. Thunder Pool. Li Kunlun frowned and said in a low voice, "This silly girl is trying too hard." The people behind the Thunder Martial Arts Hall swarmed up and followed behind them. No way, is this special envoy of patrolling the Steel Girl's brother? Bah, what is the Steel Girl called? Do you want to die? Her name is Li Xiaoyu. Ah, I said how the special envoy looks familiar. Li Xiaoyu brought her brother here before. Yes, I also remembered, her brother is wearing a suit, so handsome. Many young apprentices become nympho. It's really Li Xiaoyu's brother. It's over, I also said that brother Li Xiaoyu is dead. Will the special envoy wear small shoes for me? 5. Take it down, what role are you? The special envoy has the time to care about you. Li Xiaoyu is so lucky to have such a powerful brother. Hey, it's no wonder that she firmly believes that her brother is powerful, it seems that she is right. Everyone came to the training area. Xiaoyu. Li Kunlun saw the ponytail girl who fainted in the thunder pool, and rushed over with a stride. Xiaoyu, are you alright? Li Kunlun took Li Xiaoyu out of the thunder pool. Quote. Is my brother back? While Li Xiaoyu was in a coma, he kept saying Li Kunlun's name again and again. Li Kunlun's nose was slightly sour, he hugged his sister tightly, and said distressedly, "Silly girl, what are you doing? I said that my brother will protect you, right? Why are you cultivating so hard?" Elder Zhou sighed, stepped forward and said, "I persuaded Li Xiaoyu not to work too hard, pay attention to relaxation and discipline, and combine work and rest. Unfortunately, she just didn't listen and practiced with her life." Li Kunlun looked at President Zhou and asked, "President Zhou, look at my sister's physical condition. How is it? Is there any way to make up for it?" Elder Zhou took the pulse for Li Xiaoyu, and swept into a ray of infuriating energy, turning a great Zhoudian. After a moment, President Zhou finished checking his pulse, and replied in a heavy tone, "Li Xiaoyu's life is not in serious trouble, it's just that he has overtrained, his meridians have been damaged, his organs have failed, and his fascia has been torn." The veins on Li Kunlun's forehead jumped. This is also called life is not serious. Putting it in the martial arts novels, it is about to catch up with the broken meridians. Elder Zhou noticed Li Kunlun's cannibalistic gaze, coughed dryly, and said, "With the financial resources of the special envoy, I can buy a panacea to restore the body on the martial artist forum, which can restore Li Xiaoyu's body. It's just Li Xiaoyu's martial arts journey, I'm afraid it will stop here, unable to condense Qi Dan." Li Xiaoyu was overloaded with the baptism of the Thunder Pond, and the meridians in his body were already scarred. Even if it is repaired with panacea, I am afraid that it will not be able to withstand the spiritual pressure brought by the condensed pill, which will cause the meridians to be broken and burst to death. But he couldn't condense Qi Dan, and even military generals couldn't cultivate. Not to mention Wu Zun, Wu Wang, and even Wu Emperor behind the generals. Li Kunlun frowned and asked, "What if you want to continue your journey in martial arts?" Chairman Zhou leaned on a cane, looked to the northwest, and said, "I still need the dragon blood of Tiamat, the demon dragon of the end." Dragon of the end, Tiamat. Li Kunlun sucked in a breath of cold air. Isn't that an emperor-level beast that is not inferior to the earthly python at all? Although Tiamat is the final demon dragon, the dragon's blood in its body is the most vital magic medicine in the world. If you can get the blood of the final demon dragon, not only can you completely heal Li Xiaoyu's disease, but even for her, it is an ignorance of good fortune. Chairman Zhou is indeed a person who can become the branch owner of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall. Li Kunlun said in a deep voice, does it have to be Tiamat's dragon blood? When he was in the restricted area of life, he had a fight with the earthly python, which was wounded after giving birth. Li Kunlun knew the power of the emperor-level beasts better than anyone else. The final demon dragon Tiamat, just by listening to the name, may be stronger than the earthly python. How difficult is it to take the dragon blood of the demon dragon of the end? Elder Joe stroked his chin and said slowly, it's okay to replace it with other dragon blood first. Okay, other dragon beasts, easy to say. Li Kunlun said decisively 7. But then again, the emperor-level beasts have never been killed. How do you know, President Joe, that the dragon blood of the final demon dragon has such a magical effect? Li Kunlun's eyes flickered a few times, staring closely at President Joe. Bailuo Wuzun smiled and said, Master Special Envoy, you don't know this, President Joe used to stay in the Ferocious Beast Research Institute in Base City No. Of course, it is up to Chairman Joe to answer why you know specifically. Quote. President Joe cleared his throat, leaning on a cane in both hands, and his old face showed a bit of glory. I think back then, this old man was also a senior at the Ferocious Beast Research Institute. The research on the beast is not about killing it, but it can be scrutinized through its living environment, hunting habits, and even the same kind. Like dragon-like beasts, with powerful bodies and great vitality, they all have similar effects. Chairman Joe paused for a while and continued to answer, 773. In fact, Lord Thunder Woody once joined forces with Emperor Buddha to climb Mount Everest, fight the dragon of the end, and bring back a little dragon's blood. In addition, according to Emperor Lei Tingwu, on the top of the world, Mount Everest, which is also the habitat of the final demon dragon, the ice and snow are full of vitality, and the vegetation is lush, like the legendary Garden of Eden. Because of this, we call the eternal demon dragon Tiamat. Li Kunlun nodded suddenly. It turns out that it is no wonder that President Joe can assert that the dragon blood of the final demon dragon Tiamat can heal my sister. Before obtaining the dragon's blood, what are the other elixir for Xiao Yu, can President Joe tell me? Li Kunlun asked. How difficult is this? President Joe pondered and replied, Baiyu plastered intermittently to repair Xiao Yu's meridians. Spring rain transforms into spirit powder, nourishing Xiao Yu's damaged flesh and blood. A black magnetic mother iron is also needed to absorb the excess current remaining in Xiao Yu's body. Among them, Baiyu intermittent cream and spring rain transforming spirit powder can be bought in the martial artist forum. The case of the black magnetic mother iron is relatively rare, and the special envoy needs to try his luck. The erudite and knowledgeable President Joe said the prescription slowly. It is no wonder that he was able to become the branch president of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall with the realm of a military commander. Li Kunlun now understands the reason. Including Baiming Wawang and Bailuo Wuzun, they all looked at old Chairman Joe with admiration. As long as it can suck out the residual current in Xiao Yu's body. Li Kunlun turned his eyes and asked slowly. Elder Joe nodded and said, if you can use other methods to absorb the residual current in Xiao Yu's body, you can do it without a black magnetic mother iron. That's fine. Li Kunlun turned his head to look at the king of Baiming Wu. I'll send my sister home first, and I'll meet at the Warrior Association later. King Baiming nodded in agreement. Immediately, Li Kunlun took the posture of a princess, hugged his sister, and strode away. After leaving the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, he bent his knees slightly, slammed his mana with a bang, and flew away. King Baiming, President Joe, and everyone in the Thunder Martial Hall rushed to the door, but Li Kunlun was nowhere to be seen. This Li Kunlun is amazing, amazing. King Wu of Baiming even said too, wonderful, praises from the bottom of his heart. Bailuo Wuzun asked curiously, Dad, how is his strength compared to yours? King Wu of Baiming groaned, recalling that he had slapped Li Kunlun outside the defensive fortress in Xicheng district. As a result, Li Kunlun broke his Hunyuan Deluo hand with a strange move. Considering the soul crystals of the 3 monarch-level beasts that Li Kunlun took out. It's hard to say, I haven't really played against each other, and the old man is not sure about his strength. Baiming Wawang looked at Bailuo Wuzun and said solemnly, but one thing is certain, if it is not done in the future, the Yan Kingdom will definitely add a new Wudi. Bailuo Wuzun took a deep breath. On the face of Yan Guoming, there are only 3 martial emperors. If you become Emperor Wu, then you are truly an unparalleled existence above tens of thousands of people, a peerless powerhouse who pushes the world horizontally. Zhongcheng is Li Kunlun's hometown, and you are one of the 4 towns of Zhongcheng Wuzun. You should pay more attention to the affairs of the Li family, do you hear? King Wu of Beiming ordered in a deep voice. Bailuo Wuzun nodded and decided to go back to visit the Li family and give some gifts by the way. He was alone in town Wuzun, and he visited and gave gifts to ordinary people in the base city of Zhongcheng. If the neighbors knew about it, he would probably be shocked and shattered his jaw. Zhongcheng first-class product. The Li family was still gloomy. The disappearance of Li Kunlun has dealt a huge blow to Li's father and Li's mother. Father Li sat in front of the sofa, cigarette after cigarette. The ashtray was filled with cigarette butts, like a green onion. Mother Li sat in the room, taking out a tissue from time to time to wipe her swollen eyes from crying. Xiaoyu is coming back soon, I'm going to buy groceries. After Mother Li finished crying, she spoke to Father Li in the living room and was ready to go out. Bring me a bottle of Zulanshan liquor, Father Li said in a hoarse voice. Li's mother glanced at Li's father's back, opened the door, and happened to bump into Li Kunlun who came back. Mom, I'm back. Li Kunlun hugged the unconscious Li Xiaoyu and said, Son. Mother Li was stunned for a moment. She saw that she was tall and burly, wearing a black metal robe, like Li Kunlun, a god of war, and suspected that she was blind. What? Father Li, who heard the movement in the living room, didn't have time to put on slippers and ran to the entrance barefoot. He saw Li Kunlun, the cigarette he just lit, fell to the ground. It's me. Li Kunlun smiled slightly, walked into the door, and put his sister on the sofa. Mother Li smiled and kept nodding. It's good to come back. Li's father didn't speak much, and he was not as excited as Li's mother's expression, but the gloomy clouds on his brows had also dissipated. What happened to Xiaoyu? Father Li looked at Li Xiaoyu lying on the sofa. Li Kunlun replied, I practiced too hard, I was too tired, and passed out. It's okay, I'll go back and buy some panacea to wake Li Xiaoyu up. He simply said that he did not want his parents to worry too much. Father Li breathed a sigh of relief and said, It's fine. Mother Li said, I'll go buy some food first, and then come back and cook. Father Li shouted, Buy more. By the way, buy some good wine, instead of Zulan Mountain, replace it with Maotai. Okay, my son is back today, the family is happy, let you drink more. After lunch, Li Kunlun went to the Martial Artist Association to find the King of Beiming, and gave the 3 soul crystals of monarch-level beasts as a third-party witness. With this testimony, Li Kunlun can sell 3 monarch-level beast soul crystals on the Warrior Forum. Both the Martial Artist Association and Beiming Martial King wanted to buy a monarch-level beast soul crystal in private. Li Kunlun thought about it and decided to put it in the auction on the forum to make more money, so he declined. When he got home, Li Kunlun took out his new mobile phone, logged into the Warrior Forum, and found that the Warrior Forum had exploded. All kinds of new posts, all kinds of news, emerge one after another, causing countless heated discussions. And all of this is only because of 2 announcements from the Warrior Forum. The first full section announcement. Great news. A new King Wu is born in the Yan Kingdom, and the title is yet to be determined. The second full section announcement. The new king has a lot of achievements, and he is a blockbuster, killing the son of the world's giant python, 3 monarch-level beasts. The new king. Could it be Zhang Ruoxian? No, isn't Zhang Ruoxian in the realm of Emperor Wu, why did he become King Wu? Li Kunlun was puzzled. Before he could click on the announcement, several private messages popped up on the forum interface. Li Kunlun clicked on the private message and found the first private message, congratulations on becoming the new King of Wu, and the account level was subsequently upgraded to King of Wu, including the exclusive title of King Wu, custom avatar frame and so on. The second private message, please Li Kunlun enter his title. The third private letter asks whether Li Kunlun has disclosed the information and which information has been disclosed. What? The new king mentioned in the announcement was referring to me. Li Kunlun was stunned for a moment. He thought it was Zhang Ruoxian, but it turned out to be himself. But the feat of beheading the son of the giant python does not belong to Li Kunlun. Could it be that the Yan Kingdom deliberately hid Zhang Ruoxian? Yes, the Yan Kingdom already has 3 martial emperors, which makes the major forces in the world fearful. If such a young martial emperor is born again, I am afraid that the high-level human beings of other forces will be restless. It's no wonder that the Yan Kingdom has always claimed that there are only 3 martial emperors. Maybe it's because of this. Li Kunlun suddenly realized, putting the credit on me, it's nothing, but if it's just a title, what would you choose? Li Kunlun really never thought about what title he would have after he became Wu Wang. He is not a martial artist, but his strength is indeed comparable to that of Zhenjiang Wuwang, and his title of Wuwang is also in line with his identity. Generally speaking, the title is usually the one with the loudest popular voice. But Li Kunlun rose too fast, like a comet. When he entered the eyes of the people, Li Kunlun was already considered a dazzling king of martial arts. Everyone doesn't know him, so naturally there is no such thing as a folk title. My name is Li Kunlun, so let's call it King Wu of Kunlun. No, King Wu of Kunlun sounds a bit dirty. How about the supernova martial king? Like the martial king rising from a comet. Forget it, it's too middle school. Li Kunlun rubbed his eyebrows and lay on the beach chair on the open-air balcony on the top floor, looking up at the bright Star River. If your sister is not asleep, you can ask her for advice. Li Kunlun reached out and grabbed a handful of starlights, muttering to himself. Let's start with the word Kunlun. Kunlun, the first sacred mountain in the Yan Kingdom, the ancestor of the Chinese dragon veins, is known as the hometown of all gods, and how is it called King of 10,000 gods? Wangshenwawang, it's a bit of a twist, the king of the gods is almost the same. Longzhu Martial King, Shilong Martial King, sounds pretty good, then let's call Zulong Martial King. Li Kunlun was going to type the words Ancestral Dragon Martial King in the title pop-up window. And many more. Li Kunlun finished typing, ready to click the OK button, and stopped again. In myths and legends, Yushu Palace is located on Kunlun Mountain, which is the dojo of Yuanshi Tianzun. Why don't I take the word Yuanshi and call me King Wu of Yuanshi? Li Kunlun's deep eyes became brighter and brighter. After repeating it several times, I became more and more fond of the title of King Yuan Shiwu. The beginning of the Yuan dynasty, the beginning of the origin, the beginning of all things, and the evolution of cells seemed to have the same effect. Li Kunlun deleted the words Zulong Wuwang, retyped the words Yuanshi Wuwang, and clicked OK. Ding, congratulations to the user, confirm that the title is Yuanshi. After the pop-up window of the Martial Artist Forum was filled with fireworks, a new announcement was released, announcing that all martial artists, the new king's title was Yuan Shi Wu Wang. The forum exploded again, and various posts and discussions flew up. The title of King Xinwu came out, and it was actually called Yuanshi. It's too domineering. This new martial king is too fierce. As soon as he came up, he took out the record of beheading the son of the world's giant python, and the record of 3 monarch-level beasts. Who can match? The soul crystals of 3 monarch-level beasts were finally produced, and I guess King Yuan Shiwu will leave it to his younger generation. A while ago, King Wu was promoted, but it was King Wu's Yan Luoba sword. The Yama sword slashed the monarch-level beast, the extremely cold crocodile dragon, to prove his own strength, and secondly, to give the soul crystal to the younger generation who had great potential and he loved very much. I feel that the Wuwang ranking is going to be re-ranked, and Yuanshi Wuwang can definitely rank in the top 3. King Yuanshi Wu came to the top 3, wouldn't the third place King Wu of Beiming be squeezed out? Who knows who this King Yuan Shiwu is? It's too mysterious, I've never heard of it before. Li Kunlun only confirmed and announced his title and gender as male. The rest of the information is all set to a private state, and the forum has not been released. Once it is announced, Li Kunlun will instantly become a public figure, which will definitely bring a lot of influence to his life and family. So, Li Kunlun chose to go with the flow. Okay, now the auction of the soul crystals of the 3 monarch-level beasts should be very popular. After Li Kunlun's account has the authority of King Wu, an auction function has been added. After uploading an authoritative third-party certification, an auction can be launched, allowing all martial artists online in the Martial Artist Forum to participate. Of course, the Martial Artist Forum will charge a 1% commission. Li Kunlun initiated an auction and directly hung the soul crystals of 3 monarch-level beasts. Suddenly, the warrior forum detonated again. All online warrior users have all received the pop-up window of the auction. My good fellow, the soul crystals of 3 monarch-level beasts. This must be an auction initiated by King Yuan Shiwu. He's actually online, let's walk around, let's go watch. All of a sudden, Li Kunlun went from no one to become a man of the martial arts forum. If there is a headline in the martial artist forum, the top 3 of the hottest will definitely be Li Kunlun. The online auction is really convenient, and the warrior forum is well organized. Li Kunlun stared intently at the phone screen. On the martial artist forum auction interface, has a number display, indicating how many online audiences there will be in the auction. Now, this number has exceeded 100,000. In other words, at least 100,000 warriors came in to watch the auction. Because it happened to be night, coupled with the previous announcements of the warrior forum, a wave of popularity was detonated. Many warriors came to hear the news, log into the account, and read the post about the birth of the new king. Therefore, in such a short period of time, 100,000 warriors could enter the auction. The auction has not officially started yet, and the barrage is about to burst. Where is the new king? Come out and take a bubble. How old is King Yuan Shiwu? Does he have a wife? King Yuan Shiwu, I want to give birth to monkeys for you. It's too strong. Kill 3 monarch-level beasts, and directly take out their soul crystals and put them up for auction. The boss is so cool. Li Kunlun looked at the snow-like barrage and felt that his eyes couldn't see it. Obviously there is no picture, nor is it a live broadcast, but the atmosphere is extremely hot. They are really enthusiastic. I don't know how many people made bids during the auction. Li Kunlun set the auction to start half an hour later. In order to attract more warriors, he came to participate in the auction. These superficial accounts are just warriors. In fact, many of them are backed by big forces and big chaebols. Like the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce, if you want to bid for the soul crystals of monarch-level beasts in this auction, you will definitely not be able to do it. They don't have enough money. Base City Number 1, a top-level mansion built on the roof of a building. In the girly boudoir, a long-haired girl was lying on a bed full of dolls, shaking her fair and flawless calf while playing with her mobile phone. The announcement of the martial artist forum has been released. I don't know what title Li Kunlun will take for himself. My grandfather didn't give me the administrator rights of the martial artist forum, or I could send him a private message. Seeing that there is no new announcement, the beautiful girl put down her mobile phone and lay down on the pillow. After a while, the phone beeps. The beautiful girl hurriedly picked up her mobile phone and checked the announcement. King Yuan Shiwu. The girl took a deep breath. This title is too domineering. Li Kunlun is really bold, but I like it, hee hee. Oh, who does my great-granddaughter like? An old and kind voice came from outside the boudoir. Grandpa. The girl hurriedly got up, got a duck to sit on, and hugged a penguin doll on her lap. Why are you here if you don't recover from your injuries? The door opened silently and automatically, and an old man in a wheelchair came in slowly. I saw the old man wearing a blue-white Taoist robe, and his gray hair was tied up in a Taoist bun with a peach wood hairpin. He is thin, energetic, and has a childlike face, as if he was described by a fairy tale as the old man. The old man in a Taoist robe, his eyes are not cloudy at all, and he has accumulated a century of wisdom and vicissitudes. The old man in Taoist robe smiled slightly and said, "The wounds left by Tiamat, the final demon dragon, are not so easy to heal. Unfortunately, I severely injured Tiamat, and then the Thunder Wudi and Buddha Emperor joined hands to kill it, but still failed to kill it, just took some dragon blood back for research. The rest of the dragon's blood has been washed for your marrow and bones." The old man looked at the girl deeply and gave her a very heavy hope. What kind of treatment is the dragon blood baptism of Tiamat, the final demon dragon? I am afraid that the top geniuses from all over the world in the God of War camp do not have such good fortune. The girl opened her mouth and said in a stunned voice, "Is that final demon dragon so powerful?" Grandpa, Uncle Lei, and the Buddha Emperor of India were not able to kill it. The old man smiled and said, "The last demon dragon is known as the strongest emperor-level beast, and it is also the existence that has the most hope of becoming a god-level beast. Do you think it is strong?" Fortunately, After the final battle, I was afraid of fighting the final demon dragon, but for the time being, it did not pose any threat to our Yan kingdom. It's you, Ruoxian little girl, secretly ran to the restricted area of life, challenged the earthly python, and almost died. If it wasn't for the little brother named Li Kunlun who rescued you and escaped from the restricted area of life, how could you tell me to explain to your parents, and how could I be worthy of the hard work I spent on you? Zhang Ruoxian stuck out his tongue, made a face, and wanted to be cute. Quote. The Taoist old man sighed. After he was seriously injured by the final demon dragon Tiamat, he always focused on Zhang Ruoxian. Dedicated resources, cultivated Zhang Ruoxian, and wanted to cultivate the world's first martial god. As a result, Zhang Ruoxian was too eager, and after being promoted to Emperor Wu, he went to challenge the earthly python. Fortunately, there was no danger, and he returned to the human survival base alive, and also killed the son of the earthly python, otherwise what a loss. Zhang Ruoxian sat down as a duck, bowed his head and admitted his mistake. Grandpa, I was wrong, and I will never dare again. After that, if you dare to make a fool of yourself again, I will punish you for confinement. Until you become a martial god, you can come out. The old man blew his beard and stared, and the loose Taoist robe was not stirred by the wind, and all the things in the room floated. Immediately, the old man did not continue to blame Zhang Ruoxian, but instead asked, "How do you want Grandpa to thank that little brother?" Zhang Ruoxian tilted his head to think, and said, "The ultimate martial arts. The best exercises, or the magic medicine, the latest equipment of the research institute." The old man in Taoist robe shook his head and said, "If he can reach this stage at this age, he must have his own fortune, and he may not be lacking in cultivation techniques and divine pills. I look back and investigate him to see if he has any family members who can be taken to base city number 1, so that there is a guarantee." Zhang Ruoxian said, "He said he was from Zhongcheng. Zhongcheng had a huge beast tied not long ago, and it's not safe, so he can indeed take over his family." The old man in Taoist robe looked at his great-granddaughter, and said with a half-smile, "Listen to Lei Hong, he was chased and killed by the earthly python, he escaped from the restricted area of life to the no-man's land, his strength is very strong, and he is even about to catch up you. This level of strength, this level of aptitude, is stronger than those of the god of war camp, and I don't know how strong it is." Zhang Ruoxian grabbed a doll, waved it a few times, and said, "That's not it. Next time I see him, I must ask him for some tips." "Oh, so in my opinion, Ruoxian, you are not too young, you can talk to him. Maybe it's not bad to look at yourself." "Yeah." Zhang Ruoxian hurriedly threw a duck doll onto the old man in Taoist robe, and his cheeks instantly turned red. "Grandpa, what nonsense are you talking about? Your great-granddaughter is only 16 years old. As a Taiji martial emperor, why is he still an old urchin?" Zhang Ruoxian sighed and turned her head away. "Really, ha ha ha, I'm young at heart." The old man in Taoist robe stroked his beard with a smile. "If there are outsiders present, they will definitely be shocked. I did not expect that the old man in Taoist robe in front of him is actually the Taiji martial emperor, one of the 3 major martial emperors of the Yan kingdom. Taiji martial emperor became famous earlier than Iron martial emperor and Thunder martial emperor. The Martial Artist Association was founded by the Taiji martial emperor. He is the patron saint of the Yan kingdom, and also a pioneer in the martial arts, the real Taishan Beidou." The phone on the bed rang. Zhang Ruoxian quickly picked up the phone and exclaimed, "The King of Yuan Shiwu has started the auction." "King Yuan Shiwu, who is that?" the Taoist-robed old man asked curiously. As the Taiji martial emperor, the president of the Martial Artist Association, and all the well-known martial kings in the Yan kingdom, he naturally knows and understands them, and he has never heard of the Yuanshi martial king. Zhang Ruoxian clicked into the auction and replied, "King of Yuan Shiwu, it was Li Kunlun who got the title for him." "Oh, the title given to him by that little brother is to be King Yuan Shiwu. Ha ha ha, you have a lot of courage, you are terrifying, you are terrifying." Since the auction has started, let's take a look at how much he can sell for his 3 monarch-level beast soul crystals. 30 minutes have come. Li Kunlun turned on the phone's microphone and said, "Hello everyone, I'm King Yuan Shiwu. King Yuan Shiwu has spoken. Oh my god, that sounds so young. I thought the newly promoted King Wu was an old grandfather, or at least a middle-aged man, but I didn't expect his voice to sound so young. No wonder he took out all the soul crystals of the 3 monarch-level beasts for auction, and it turns out that there are no children. King Yuanshiwu, I want to give birth to a monkey for you, are you married? Jiao jiao jiao, the barrage suddenly exploded, and a large piece of it was brushed over. Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. Qian Liner was wearing silver-rimmed glasses and OL business attire, sitting in the office, full of the mature charm of the royal sister. She turned on her mobile phone and put it on the desk. She was watching the auction of the Martial Artist Forum. A fair jade hand was still turning a pen. The voice of King Yuan Shiwu sounds a little familiar. Qian Liner stopped turning the pen, poked at the table with the pen, and frowned. A burly figure of a man appeared in her mind. I don't know what happened to him. I asked his sister yesterday, but there is still no news. Hey, Qian Liner sighed, and could only continue to watch the auction on the mobile phone's Martial Artist Forum. Zhongcheng First Class, Home. Li Kunlun coughed lightly. There were too many questions on the barrage, and he couldn't answer them one by one. Okay, let's not gossip and officially start the auction. The first soul crystal to be auctioned is from the monarch-level beast Chongming Black Tiger. The starting price of the auction is 5 billion yuan, and each increase is not less than 100 million yuan. The soul crystal of the monarch-level beast Chongming the Black Tiger, starting at 5 billion. The auction was immediately lively. I give 5 billion. Just kidding, 5 billion won to buy a soul crystal of a monarch-level beast. I'll pay 7 billion. Some bosses directly raise the price to 7 billion yen national currency. The barrage becomes more and more as the bidding price climbs. 7 billion. Boss, he is really rich. Who is the boss? So rich, I'm so envious. The auction really gave me a glimpse into the world of the rich and made myself realize how poor I am again. Li Kunlun stared at the screen closely, watching the rising tide of bids at the auction. Bidding is different from barrage. When someone bids, a gorgeous neon sign will be raised. There will be auction prices in the brand, which is very eye-catching. When there is a higher bid, the original brand will be squeezed out and put on the auction to tell others how much the price has risen to now. I will give out 10 billion yen national currency. It's small, the layout is small, and there are 2 other soul crystals of monarch-level beasts. What are you arguing with me? I will pay 11 billion yen national coins. 11.5 billion yen national currency. One soul crystal can only cultivate one martial venerable, don't grab it. 12 billion yen national coins. Can the soul crystal of a monarch-level beast be compared to the soul crystal of a commander-level beast? 12.5 billion yen national coins. Qian Liner scribbled on the white paper with a pen and was upset. She also wanted to bid for the soul crystal of a monarch-level beast to pave the way for her future career as a warrior. Qian Liner herself is a Wuzong. She is about to accumulate infuriating energy, ready to condense Qi Dan and become a military general, but who doesn't want to become a Wuzun? It's a pity that Qian Liner doesn't have that much money. Although the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce has done a lot of business, this time the impact of the giant beast tide in Zhongcheng has brought great losses to many group forces. Now, Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce can't get much money. As the founder, loan 10 billion to the Martial Artist Security Bank. You should be able to do it, and then add your own money. Qian Liner bit her lip, tapped her phone, and sent a bid. 13 billion yen national currency. 13.1 billion yen national currency. 13.3 billion yen national currency. Soon, Qian Liner's bid was overwhelmed by the rising prices behind. Qian Liner threw away the pen, but breathed a sigh of relief, and said in a low voice, "Don't think about it, 10 billion is still too much of a burden for me and the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. When you can't beat the Wuzun realm in the future, buy a soul crystal of a commander-level beast, and you will use it." Qian Liner chose to give up the auction and continued to watch to see how far the price could go in the end. Finally, the soul crystal of the Chongming Black Tiger was auctioned at the sky-high price of 16.3 billion yen national coins. Li Kunlun took a small breath. In the blink of an eye, he has become a billionaire. Li Kunlun said, "Now start bidding for the soul crystal of the second monarch-level beast, from a fire-crowned pterosaur. I don't know if it was the reason why the fire-crowned pterosaur was stronger than the Ming black tiger, and the auction atmosphere was even more enthusiastic than before. Auction cards are booming, and one is more expensive than the other. In the end, this fire-crowned pterosaur should have been auctioned by a big family in base city number 1, and the final transaction price was 22.1 billion yan national currency. The last soul crystal of a monarch-level beast, the Pantian god-killing spider. This soul crystal is not as popular as the fire-crowned pterodactyl, and it is even worse than the Ming black tiger. The final transaction price was only 13.6 billion yan national currency. So far, the soul crystal auction of the 3 monarch-level beasts has ended. Li Kunlun closed the auction and calculated how much money he made. The 3 soul crystals were sold for a total of 52 billion yan national coins. The platform commission of the Martial Artist Forum is 1%, which is 520 million. In the end, the money in Li Kunlun's hands is still 51.48 billion. For Li Kunlun, who came from an ordinary family, this is an unimaginable astronomical sum. Generally it is cash on delivery. However, Li Kunlun was in a hurry to use the money. After sending the soul crystals, it would take several days until the other party received the goods and the platform sent the money. Li Xiaoyu was still in a coma, so Li Kunlun naturally couldn't wait. Li Kunlun directly applied to the Martial Artist Forum for an advance of 10 billion yan national currency, and first purchased Baiyu interruption cream and Chunyu Huling powder from the forum. The rest of the money, you can wait for cash on delivery, but not in a hurry. Baiyu intermittent cream and spring rain transforming spirit powder did not add up to 100 million. Li Kunlun took 9.9 billion AHA yan national currency and bought some other equipment on the forum. Ordinary clothes are always burned to ashes. It seems that you still need to buy a top-level combat uniform. Li Kunlun took a look. The forum's top combat uniform is called Dawn. A set of dawning combat uniforms sold for 8 billion yan national currency. It is said to be made of the fur of a monarch-level beast, combined with the most advanced technology and specially developed metal. It can withstand high temperatures of tens of thousands of degrees, low temperatures close to absolute zero, and withstand the sharp claws of monarch-level beasts. Whether it's true or not, Li Kunlun first bought a dawning combat uniform. When the remaining money from the auction of soul crystals arrives, Li Kunlun will buy another set of dawning combat uniforms for his sister. After Baiyu's intermittent ointment and the spring rain are scattered, I will be able to rescue you, sister. Li Kunlun whispered to himself. The excess current remaining in Li Xiaoyu's body has been drained by Li Kunlun. As long as Baiyu's intermittent ointment and the spring rain transforming spirits arrive, Li Xiaoyu will be able to wake up. As for dragon blood, Li Kunlun has a goal. However, after his sister Li Xiaoyu wakes up, Li Kunlun will go to the Hengduan Mountains to hunt down the dragon-type beast. When he had nothing to do, Li Kunlun turned to the Martial Artist Forum again. Enter the Zhonghu Anecdote section, open the local filter, and you can see the posts of the Zhongcheng base city. Otherwise, there are too many posts in the forum, and Li Kunlun can't read it at all. The economic crisis of the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce, and the beautiful Wuzong Qian liner, are suspected to be married to tide over the crisis. What kind of beast is the giant ape that saved the Zhongcheng base city? Let me analyze it. I live broadcast from a trainee martial artist to become a martial lord. This is a testimonial post. Please testify from many friends. Today, there is a heavyweight in Zhongcheng. I heard that he is the special envoy of the Xinjiang Patrol, do you know? Li Kunlun swept the posts of the base city of Zhongcheng. Anyway, it's not about yourself, it's about yourself indirectly. Well, Qian Liner is about to get married. Li Kunlun opened the post, Economic Crisis of Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. Inside, the landlord wrote clearly, what is the current crisis in Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce, and how can we overcome this crisis? Li Kunlun picked up the new phone, thought about Qian Liner's phone number, and dialed it. Qian Liner was upset when she saw an unfamiliar number and hung up directly. She has been harassed by phone calls a lot these days. Hang me up. Li Kunlun made another call to the past. Qian Liner was about to hang up, but as soon as she was angry, she answered the phone immediately and scolded, "Are you annoying? Listen to my mother. Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce can get through the current difficulties, you don't need to worry, I won't even consider marriage, I have someone I like. Li Kunlun was stunned for a moment, then asked suspiciously, Qian Liner, when did you have a sweetheart? Quote. Qian Liner was stunned, and immediately exclaimed in surprise, is it Li Kunlun? Are you Li Kunlun? Well, it's me. Really, I thought you were dead, woohoo. The strong woman actually cried. I cried loudly and sadly, venting all the emotions and stress I had accumulated recently. Why are you crying? I'm still alive and well. Li Kunlun was helpless and comforted. Woo, you still owe me several meals, who will I go to when I die? Qian Liner said with a choked sobs. Li Kunlun, sorry, I made the wrong call and hung up. Chapter 91. Li Kunlun hung up the phone, and Qian Liner called again immediately. Li Kunlun, how dare you hang up the old lady's phone? Li Kunlun teased. Only state officials are allowed to set fires, but people are not allowed to light lamps. Didn't you hang up my phone just now? It's even. Qian Liner snorted softly, wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes, and said, oh, small-minded man. Why have you been missing for several days? Ask your sister, Xiao Yu doesn't know your whereabouts. Li Kunlun replied. I went out for a walk and lost my phone again, so I couldn't contact my family, so my family was worried. It's you. When did you have a sweetheart? Why haven't I heard of it? Quote. Qian Liner blushed, picked up the lost pen, and drew on the white paper. No, I just like him a little. Li Kunlun gave an oh, and asked, who can make the beauty of the iceberg melt? Tell me, and I'll help you chase him. Qian Liner rolled her eyes and said, Che, I want you to help me chase. Wouldn't the old lady do it herself? Li Kunlun said, okay, let's get down to business. I read the post on the martial artist forum. Some people say that there will be an economic crisis in Zhongcheng Merchant. Is this true? When it came to the headache, Qian Liner's happy mood suddenly became depressed. Really, but it's not too serious. Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce will be able to tide over the difficulties by itself. Really, how much is the difference? I can lend you some. Li Kunlun said again. You, Qian Liner couldn't help laughing, and teased, have you paid back the money owed by the food stalls? Lend me money when you pay them back. Li Kunlun sighed and said old-fashionedly, hey, the little girl doesn't know what's wrong. Okay, now that I'm done, I'm not pretending anymore, it's a showdown, I'm actually a billionaire, and I've been missing for a few days and went back to inherit the family property. Billionaires. Qian Liner wrote a 1 on the white paper with a pen, and then drew several zeros. Really or not, Li Kunlun, you're blowing the shit out of your head. 10 billionaires can easily buy the entire Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. Li Kunlun smiled and said, why are you lying to me? It's not only 10 billion, but 50 billion. Qian Liner spread her hands and said, I believe you are strange, I will invite you to dinner tomorrow and wash the dust for you. It is good. By the way, when I buy the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce, you will be my person, so you don't need to think about marriage to get through the difficulties. Bah, who are you? But I wouldn't think about marriage. In addition to being a businessman, I am also a martial artist. In the future, I will hunt fierce beasts and make money to pay off debts. Qian Liner chatted with Li Kunlun for a few words, then hung up the phone. The next day, Li Kunlun first sent the 3 soul crystals to the address of the buyer who took the 3 soul crystals. Then, Li Kunlun went to find Qian Liner for lunch. Maybe because of the recent anxiety about the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce, Qian Liner, who used to be a royal sister, could indeed see a bit of haggard between her brows and eyes. But seeing Li Kunlun safe and sound, Qian Liner was much happier, and her mood was obviously improved. After lunch, Li Kunlun came to Thunder Martial Arts Hall. The Thunder Martial Arts Hall has the most advanced equipment, and Li Kunlun is ready to measure his various values. Through these data, Li Kunlun can better understand what level of strength he is now. Some advanced equipment has low authority and is not authorized to use at all. After all, it is extremely expensive. As the special envoy of Thunder Wudi, Li Kunlun's authority is second only to Thunder Wudi, and higher than that of President Zhou. Of course, he can use it casually without any contribution points. First is the boxing test. Li Kunlun is standing in front of a giant punching drone. This specially made boxing target machine is more than 10 times larger than the normal boxing force target machine, and the price is more than 10 times more expensive. Behind Li Kunlun, the apprentices and members of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy surrounded him, looking at him. It's the special envoy of the Xinjiang Patrol. It's really him. At such a young age, he became a special envoy to patrol the Xinjiang region, which is amazing. I heard that he is Li Xiaoyu's brother. It's really enviable, and I want such a brother too. The people in the back crowded the boxing test hall into 3 floors inside and 3 floors outside. You said that our special envoy for the Xinjiang Patrol is more powerful than the Yuan Shiwawang last night. I don't know, it must be our Xinjiang special envoy who is more powerful. Not necessarily. Didn't you read the announcement of the Martial Artist Forum, the newly promoted Yuan Shiwawang, but the unparalleled fierce man who killed the son of the giant python and the 3 monarch-level beasts? Suddenly, many people were stunned. They remembered that Li Kunlun seemed to have taken out 3 soul crystals of monarch-level beasts yesterday. In the auction of the Martial Artist Forum last night, King Yuan Shiwu also auctioned the soul crystals of 3 monarch-level beasts. The Xinjiang Special Envoy and the Yuan Shiwuwang are the same person. Everyone was stunned for a while, and there was another big wave. Li Kunlun, who was standing in front of the giant boxing drone, ignored the noisy people and asked the staff of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy. How much force can this boxing target machine withstand? The staff looked at Li Kunlun with admiration, and immediately replied, Mr. Special Envoy, this punching target machine is the latest developed machine. The device inside can quickly convert kinetic energy into electrical energy, so as to withstand greater punching force. The theoretical upper limit is 10,000 tons of force. 10,000 tons of force, that is, 10 million kilograms of boxing force. Li Kunlun's eyes flashed, and he grasped a fist in his hand, smashing it out like lightning, and suddenly hit the punching target heavily. There is no preparatory movement, no standard force posture. The seemingly simple punch hit the red and soft bullseye. Pong! There was a dull and huge explosion, a large white air wave exploded, and the wind was raging. The staff next to him was caught off guard and fell to the ground. Quote. What a strong punch. I'm going to be blown away. The people watching from behind were almost thrown overboard. At the same time, an incomparably terrifying punch exploded inside the huge punching target. The filling liquid inside is turbulent, pushing the machine to run wildly, constantly converting it into electrical energy, trying to consume this powerful force. Ding 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 ding. The meter's index soared, and the light bulbs on the roof of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall generally flickered a few times when overloaded, and almost burst. The display value of the huge punching target drone changes rapidly, like a rocket going up, all of which are hundreds of thousands of kilograms. After punching, Li Kunlun stood in front of the huge punching target drone and looked at the monitor calmly. When the numbers stopped beating, the display finally showed the power of Li Kunlun's punch. 10.83 million kilogram. This terrifyingly unbelievable figure suffocated everyone present. Well, it's all right. Li Kunlun nodded lightly. This is the result of him not using 1,000 times the power to increase. If you use thousands of times the power to increase, it will not be 10.83 million kilogram, but 10.83 million tons. An ordinary caliber bullet, about a dozen grams, has an initial velocity of more than 400 meters per second, and can already make dents on the iron plate. If it is a large caliber bullet, the weight has only risen to several tens of grams, and the same supersonic speed can easily penetrate the steel plate general thickness. You know, these are just a few dozen grams. And the power of Li Kunlun's punch, even without a 1,000-fold increase in power, can hit a terrifying more than 10 million kilograms. Once the sonic punch is used, it is equivalent to shrinking a 10,000-ton cruise ship to the size of a fist, and then knocking it out at supersonic speed. Such power is already terrifying beyond imagination. Roughly estimated, the power of Li Kunlun's random punch, without a 1,000-fold increase in strength, may be hundreds of millions of times the power of bullets. Looking at the world, except for the scales of the emperor-level beasts, there is probably no metal that can resist Li Kunlun's fist. To be able to hit such a powerful fist, there is no need to practice martial arts, 777, skills. As long as you bully yourself, it will be a punch. Can any warrior be able to resist? Can't stand it. A random punch was a nuclear explosion, and no martial arts practiced horizontally in the world could stop it. One punch is 10 million kilograms, which is too scary. King Yuanshiwu, is this the strength of King Yuanshiwu? How is it possible? Who can tell me, can the human body really explode with a force of 10 million kilograms? Hey, did you find that the punch from King Yuanshiwu just now was quite random, and there was no preparation for any force at all? The strength of 10 million kilograms does not seem to be his full strength. A large string of bright red numbers on the huge punching target drone, like a depth bomb, was thrown into the crowd, causing a huge sensation. The onlookers were talking like a pot, saying they couldn't believe their eyes. They looked into Li Kunlun's eyes, and became adored, in awe, and fearful. Li Kunlun turned his head to look at the staff who got up from the ground and asked, "Look, is this punching target machine broken? If it is broken, I will compensate as usual." The staff tidied up their messy hair and instruments, and immediately checked the huge punching drone. It's not broken, but the machine inside is overheating, the liquid is boiling, and it's more than half dry, and it can't take your second punch. The staff replied to Li Kunlun. It means that it is not broken now, but Li Kunlun will hit the second punch and it will definitely explode. Forget it, let's test the speed again. Li Kunlun went to the venue where the speed was measured. Come on, let's go and have a look. Yuanshi Wang's punch can hit tens of millions of kilograms of force, how fast will he be? I'm so curious, this is the first time that King Yuanshiwu has shown his strength in front of everyone. Wuyaya group of people followed behind Li Kunlun and came to the speed test venue. One lap of the speed measuring field runway is 1 kilometer, which is paved with special rubber, and then the most advanced speed measuring device is used, and there is no need to manually pinch the watch at all. Li Kunlun stood at the start of the runway, taking off his shoes. Why did King Yuanshiwu take off his shoes? I don't know, I guess I'm afraid that the shoes will rot. That's right, the clothes of King Yuanshiwu seem to be ordinary, not a combat uniform. Li Kunlun moved his muscles and bones a little and took off his shirt, revealing his extremely strong upper body. Should we cancel the air resistance? Forget it, let's cancel it. So many people are watching, if the speed is too fast and the air resistance rips the clothes to shreds, I have no clothes to wear again. At that time, there will definitely be another popular post on the martial artist forum. Nickname: the newly promoted King of Wu, King of Yuanshiwu, streaking to the Thunder Martial Arts Hall, and the crowd watched. Let's start. Li Kunlun stood on the spot and didn't seem to move, but the special rubber track boomed and sank into a round pit. Li Kunlun put on his shoes silently. Ding 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 ding. The speedometer has already started to count the values. What just happened? I don't know, I haven't seen King Yuanshiwu move. It's really evil. Why did a round pit appear under his feet? Did he stomp his feet? Didn't you find it? I saw the figure of King Yuanshiwu blurred a bit. Everyone looked at each other, they saw only. Most people didn't see Li Kunlun move, but found a pit under his feet inexplicably, and a layer of special rubber was worn away. Stupid, it's because King Wu of Yuanshi is too fast. At the moment when you blinked, he ran out, circled the track, and then ran back. He didn't catch the figure of King Yuanshiwu, so you mistakenly thought that King Yuanshiwu was standing there and didn't move. A middle-aged man in a combat uniform came to the speed measurement area, and his voice was as loud as a bell. It's the coach. Hello Coach Zhao. Many apprentices of the Thunder Martial Arts Hall immediately bowed and saluted when they saw this middle-aged man. The visitor is a senior member of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy, in the realm of Wuzong, and is also the coach of most apprentices. Coach Zhao nodded, then looked at Li Kunlun in horror. The speed measurement data is out. Is this really a speed that humans can achieve? On the huge display above the speed measuring area, a value of 1021 meters per second appeared impressively. That is, the speed of Li Kunlun's explosion just now reached a terrifying 1021 meters per second. The total length of one lap of the track is just 1000 meters. Li Kunlun ran a lap in less than a second. From the start of the run to the return to the finish line, Li Kunlun's figure disappeared in less than a second. No wonder some people didn't see clearly and thought Li Kunlun was standing still. Is it 1021 meters per second, also without using 100 times speed increase? This value is not bad. Li Kunlun picked up the clothes on the ground, glanced at the screen, and nodded slightly. He predicted in his heart that with the help of 100 times the speed increase, he would be able to explode at a speed of 10,000 meters per second, which was unimaginably fast. This speed of Mach 20 or 30 is enough to make the vast majority of creatures on the planet unmatched. Sure enough, my speed on the surface is much faster than when I fly in the sky. Li Kunlun said secretly. Flying in the sky, Li Kunlun can only rely on his own 3 Emperor mode, using fire, wind, air, lightning to propel. Running on the ground, Li Kunlun relies entirely on his own physical strength, which is naturally much faster than the 3 Emperors mode. Li Kunlun put a shirt on his head, and after putting it on, he left the Thunder Martial Arts Academy. The apprentices and members of the Thunder Martial Arts Academy took out their mobile phones, logged on to the Martial Artist Forum, and started posting. One of the most popular posts is, "Breaking News. The strength data of King Yuan Shiwu, there are pictures and the truth." This post finally has hundreds of thousands of likes, 20,000 to 30,000 retweets, and more than 10,000 comments. How could these shocked warriors know that the data in the post was just the tip of the iceberg of Li Kunlun's true strength? Li Kunlun did not go home immediately, but took a walk in the city. When you see something delicious, buy some and try it. If there are any good clothes, Li Kunlun will also buy them. Since stepping into the path of cell evolution, Li Kunlun's clothes have been scrapped a lot. Boom! There was a commotion in the distant street. The sound of gunshots, and the smell of blood. Li Kunlun's ears moved, and he was shopping when he heard gunshots in the distance. Including the super sense of smell, I also smelled a trace of blood from kilometers away. Li Kunlun walked out of the newly reopened shopping mall to take a look. In the distance, an armored vehicle was running rampantly on the road. There were several robbers in the car, with gold chains around their necks, and the pockets of tactical vests stuffed with jewels. Ha ha ha, it's still fun to rob. I can't go out to hunt now, I have no money to spend, so I can only make some extra money like this. Why didn't I find out before that robbing a jewelry store is much easier than hunting a beast? A bandit got out of the sunroof of the armored vehicle, holding a machine gun in one hand, and strafing the road. Bang 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 bang. A shuttle of bullets swept from the road, like rain hitting bananas, all the way to the pedestrians beside the street. What? Help! Mom, Mom, where are you? I was shot, who can save me? Screams, screams, the crowd fell into panic, fleeing everywhere to avoid these beasts. Li Kunlun's eyes flashed coldly, he stretched out his palm, and clasped his 5 fingers against the distance. The ability to control metal makes moves. Suddenly, the shuttle bullets that were shot out, seeing that they were about to hit more passers-by, were suddenly bound by a mysterious force and stagnated in the air. A young mother hugged her child and closed her eyes in fright. After a long time without the pain of being shot, the young mother opened her eyes and found that the bullets were all suspended in front of her. The child asked, "Mom, what's going on?" The young mother shook her head, her eyes still panicked, and she hurriedly hugged the child and hid aside. Huh, what's going on here? The bandit who got out of the armored vehicle showed a puzzled look. He pulled the trigger again, and the machine gun fired a shuttle of bullets. These bullets are without exception. After they are fired, the rate of fire slows down, like a quagmire, and then completely stagnates. Court death. Li Kunlun flicked his palm, and dozens or hundreds of bullets stuck in the air flew back, hitting the gangster, leaving him full of holes. Wearing a bulletproof vest was useless. There's still a car, don't try to run. Li Kunlun aimed his palm at the armored vehicle that was moving further and further, and clenched his fingers sharply. Boom! The sturdy armored vehicle seemed to be pinched by an invisible big hand, squashed like a Coke bottle and suspended in midair. Crack! Kick! The armored vehicle continued to compress, turning from a Coke bottle into a paper ball, which was pinched into a huge metal ball. From the gap of the metal ball, the red blood flowed out. Li Kunlun let go of his palm, and the armored car, which was shaped into a metal ball, fell to the ground with a bang-dong. The gangsters inside were naturally squeezed into flesh and blood by the armored vehicle, and they couldn't die any longer. Tisk! A bunch of rubbish, can't even grab a jewelry store. In a tall building not far from the armored vehicle, there was a middle-aged man in loose swordsman robes and wooden sandals, standing on the water tower on the top of the building, watching everything that happened in the street. However, who took the shot and turned the armored vehicle into an iron ball? The strength is really terrifying. Forget it, find some useful subordinates next time. The middle-aged man, with a samurai sword on his waist, was about to jump from the water tower, but his figure froze in vain. His air machine is locked. Who? The middle-aged man turned his head suddenly, looking around like a frightened bird. There is no one around. Am I delusional? After cultivating Wuming Wei Yi Zan, I became much more sensitive. The middle-aged man shook his head. He didn't know that on the street thousands of meters away, a man with a large bag was looking at him. The distance is a bit far, forget it, don't run past, save a pair of shoes from scrapping. Just use that trick. 60 trillion cells in Li Kunlun's body generate electricity, which flows and rotates in the limbs, generating strong electromagnetic waves. Crackling. From time to time golden arcs of lightning appeared on Li Kunlun's body, which was extremely dazzling. Immediately afterwards, Li Kunlun took out a coin from his pocket and aimed at the middle-aged man on the water tower in the distance. This trick is faith, Li Kunlun said indifferently. The golden electric arc wrapped around his body extended to his arm, and finally, an astonishing thunder light leapt from his fingertips and rushed into the air. Call out. Li Kunlun flicked his thumb, and the coin turned into a cannonball fired from the electromagnetic gun, instantly turning into a golden streamer, piercing the sky. The middle-aged man was about to jump down from the water tower when a coin that was ejected from a kilometer away exploded his head in an instant. The headless corpse stood on the edge of the water tower, swaying, and finally fell all of a sudden, and fell on the roof of the high-rise building. After finishing this, Li Kunlun carried the large and small bags and continued to walk home. What happened recently? Is it because the beast tide broke through the Zhongcheng base city and the order is still being rebuilt, so it has become so chaotic and the crime rate has soared? Li Kunlun sat in the taxi back, frowning. Although the monarch-level beast tide has receded, its legacy is still poisoning the entire city. Many people are shrouded in the shadow of post-disaster trauma. Families are destroyed, wives and children are separated, and it is inevitable that some people will go to extremes. Coupled with the resistance to the beast tide, the military forces and warriors suffered heavy casualties, which directly led to the weakening of Zhongcheng's security forces, and it was difficult to punish the increasing crimes. Ah, help, help me. On the side of the road, a few young people with dyed hair forcibly grabbed a beautiful woman and walked into the dark alley. The young woman was calling for help, but there was no one to help. Parking, Li Kunlun told the driver. The driver stepped on the brakes, slowed down, and glanced at the young and strong Li Kunlun through the mirror. Young man, there is an official warrior among them. Don't think that you are tall, that you are their opponent, and you must do what you can. Parking, Li Kunlun said again. The driver stopped the car. Li Kunlun opened the car door, turned back and smiled at the driver, and said, "Wait for me, come back right away." The driver made an okay gesture. Li Kunlun closed the car door and walked towards the dark alley. Several young men with dyed hair were teasing the girl. A formal warrior wearing a combat uniform and a bronze medal on his shoulders sat on the rusted air conditioner box with a big horse and a golden sword, smoking a Chinese child, smiling at everything that happened in front of him. Until Li Kunlun appeared at the entrance of the dark alley, the official warrior picked up the Chinese child in his hand and slammed it towards Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun tilted his head and avoided Wazi, who was bouncing over. Seemingly confirming the anger in Li Kunlun's heart, Wazi, who fell to the ground, with a "Kai," burned violently and turned to ashes in an instant. No one noticed this vision. Yo, here comes the nosy. The young man with dyed hair, who was teasing the girl, split into two, one left and one right toward Li Kunlun. Boy, before you act bravely, please think a little longer. Forget it, let him lose an arm and talk about it. The two showed playful and cruel smiles and grabbed Li Kunlun with their palms. Crack, a crisp bone-cracking sound. Then, there were shrill screams. It wasn't that Li Kunlun's arm was abolished, but the two people's arms bent automatically and slumped down weakly. Ah, it hurts. My arm hurts so much. What kind of magic did you use? Brother, save me, it hurts. The two were ferocious 1 second before, and rolled on the ground in pain the next. The official martial artist who was smoking jumped out of the air conditioner box and looked at Lee Kunlun with a look of surprise. He didn't even realize how Lee Kunlun did it just now. Grass, no matter how good you are, can you still beat a pistol? The official warrior reached out and took out the pistol in the holster of his combat uniform, aimed at Lee Kunlun, and shot without any hesitation. Bang, sound. The bullet with an initial velocity exceeding the speed of sound immediately shot towards Lee Kunlun's head. There was a scarlet excited look in the eyes of the official warrior. This isn't the first time he's killed someone. The sense of crisis of hunting beasts is completely different from the sadistic sense of killing unarmed people. He fell in love with bullying ordinary people, enjoying the feeling of being aloof, as if he had supreme power. The bullet flew past, getting slower and slower. Finally, when it reached Lee Kunlun's eyebrows, the yellow-orange bullet head completely stopped and was suspended in the air. How is this possible? The official warrior was stunned, his eyes almost popped out of his sockets, and he looked in disbelief. Other young men with dyed hair who were bullying women opened their mouths into an "oh" and smashed their jaws. You seem to be enjoying the joy that violence brings to you. Lee Kunlun raised one hand, pinched the bullet between his eyebrows with his thumb and forefinger, and took it off. Then I'll let you feel the pain and despair of being crushed. Lee Kunlun shot at random, and the bullet head of yellow and orange flew out with a "huh." The one who hit was not the official warrior, but a fool who was picking up the clothes of a young woman. There was a blood hole between his brows, his eyes widened, his eyes full of unwillingness and disbelief, and he fell to the ground. Dead, dead. Boss, the third brother is dead. The official warriors held guns in both hands and kept firing. Bang bang bang. The bullets drew transparent ballistics and flew towards Lee Kunlun at a slow speed. Lee Kunlun walked forward step by step. The bullets that flew over all automatically deviated from the direction and hit the thighs of the two fools behind Lee Kunlun. Ah, I was shot. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Boss, why did you shoot me? What kind of monster are you? After the official martial artist emptied the pistol, he was so frightened that he smashed the pistol at Lee Kunlun, turned his head and ran away. Did I let you run away? Come back. Lee Kunlun walked to the air conditioner case and sat on top of the rusted air conditioner case. The official warrior who turned his head and wanted to escape, his hands, feet and limbs were out of control, like a puppet, and walked back stiffly. You, what did you do to me? The official warrior was sweating coldly and looked at Lee Kunlun with a look of horror. He wanted to run away, but his hands and feet were not obedient at all. With one invisible big hand, he controlled his limbs abruptly, and then walked back. Fire, Lee Kunlun said lightly. The official martial artist took out the wazi stiffly and handed it to Lee Kunlun. No. No fire. The official warrior was sweating like a waterfall, and said fearfully and cowardly. You don't need to light it. Lee Kunlun snapped his fingers, and a light blue flame appeared from his fingertips. Lee Kunlun just took a sip, then pressed the cigarette butt on the official warrior's forehead and rolled it hard. Hot, 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 hot. The official warrior made a scream. Don't you like hitting people with cigarettes? Do you still like it now? After Lee Kunlun finished pressing the cigarette butt, he threw it on the ground, and then took off the bronze medal on the shoulder of the official warrior with the other hand. Really, a scum like you is not worthy of being a martial artist. Lee Kunlun wiped the bronze medal and put it on the air conditioner case. You, quickly let go of my big brother. Otherwise, or I'll kill her. The remaining two green-haired took out their daggers and placed them on the neck of the young woman. The young woman had multiple bruises on her face, tears dried up, her eyes full of horror, and she cast a look of help to Lee Kunlun. Huh, do you think I can be presumptuous if I leave you alone for a while? Lee Kunlun looked up at the two idiots. That icy gaze made them fall into an ice cave. With a ding sound, the dagger fell to the ground. The two were so frightened that they fell limp and shivered. The killing intent emanating from Lee Kunlun, the deterrence from the superior, was born from the crushing of high-level life forms, and directly scared them to lose their will to resist. Forget it, don't waste time, it's not good for the driver to wait for a long time. Lee Kunlun clicked his finger. The daggers that fell to the ground flew up and slashed their throats. And you, die of suffocation. Li Kunlun glanced coldly at the official warrior, got up and walked towards the alley. The official warrior suddenly found his limbs and regained control, but an indescribable feeling of drowning and suffocation came over. He found that he couldn't breathe, but the air in his body became less and less, and it was drawn backwards. Obviously there was no drowning, and no one grabbed his neck, but he couldn't breathe. The official martial artist covered his throat with both hands, his heart was shrouded in fear, and a deep sense of powerlessness rose, making people mad. He fell to the ground, listening to the footsteps of death, and then slowly walked towards the end of his life in repentance. Savior, wait for me. The rescued young woman quickly got up and ran out of the alley. When she hurriedly looked around, she found that Li Kunlun had already got into a taxi and drove away. Well, man, thank you. The young woman made a trumpet shape with her hands around her mouth, shouted, and waved vigorously. Through the rear mirror, Li Kunlun saw the woman on the road behind beckoning and smiled. The driver said with a smile, "Young man, Zhao, I didn't expect you to be able to handle it, even a formal martial artist." Official warrior. Li Kunlun raised his face in one hand and looked out the window. For him, what kind of strength is a formal martial artist? The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. In this chaotic world, thanks to you, we poor people can have a little life. The driver said while driving. With great power comes great responsibility. Li Kunlun murmured. He knew in his heart that it was not a responsibility or obligation at all, and he kept stressing that he should act bravely and draw a sword to help him. Li Kunlun doesn't like any bondage, let alone moral kidnapping. The reason for the shot was just because Li Kunlun saw it and was upset, that's all. If his strength is not enough, Li Kunlun will not meddle in his own business. Probably in this numb world, there is still a warm blood in my heart that has not cooled down. Li Kunlun whispered. Yes, my blood is not cold yet. Li Kunlun clenched his fists, and his eyes shone with amazing light. The world is getting so bad, then let me fix it. Some people are broken, but some people are still alive and well. The real powerhouse does not fall into the darkness after seeing the darkness, but can turn to the light even when standing in the darkness. After Li Kunlun understood his thoughts, a shallow smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The little brother seems very happy, doesn't it? The driver's master glanced back through the rearview mirror and smiled. It's nothing, just figured out some trivial things. Li Kunlun replied. By the way, master, you said that the Zhongcheng base city is so chaotic, wouldn't it be better to destroy it? Hey, it can't be destroyed. Although the law and order is a little bit chaotic right now, it hasn't always been that chaotic. Besides, there are still wife and children at home, waiting for me to go home every day. Even if Zhongcheng is chaotic like a quagmire, like a stinky ditch, I will insist on driving home every day. The driver said firmly. Yes, Li Kunlun said. Home gives the city a sense of protection, and the city gives home a safe haven of stability. Okay, my home is here, and it's the first grade of Zhongcheng in front. Li Kunlun told the driver. Zhongcheng Yipan, your family really lives in Zhongcheng Yipan, I thought you were just here to play nearby. It's amazing, the people who live here are either rich or expensive. After the driver stopped, he said stunned. Li Kunlun smiled, settled the fare, and returned home. After dinner, Li Kunlun came to the open-air balcony on the top floor. The night sky of the base city is not as dark and deep as the no man's land, with a faint pink of feasting and feasting. Li Kunlun was wearing a loose training robe, with both arms outstretched and his hands spread out, his imperial energy slowly floated into the night sky. He closed his eyes. The super sensor was like a huge spider web, centered on the first grade of Zhongcheng, extending in all directions until it covered the entire Zhongcheng base city. The four Wuzhuns, including Bailuo Wuzhun, Dongyang Wuzhun, Nanshan Wuzhun, and Shihai Wuzhun, suddenly opened their eyes and were inexplicably touched. What's the matter? What does this feel like? Why do I feel like a little flying insect in a cobweb? Aha! Is someone spying on me? Wuzhun of the four major towns was keenly aware of a trace of strangeness, but he couldn't figure out what was going on. As for King Beimingwu, after Li Kunlun returned, he went to other base cities with confidence. King Wu of Zhenjiang was in charge of guarding a territory, and he usually sat in the central base city of this territory. Hucheng is the central base city of this territory, so King Wu of Beiming returned to the base city of Hucheng. Rise. Li Kunlun raised his palm, and the ability to control metal exploded in an all-round way. The discarded metal in the Zhongcheng base city, all without wind, floated up and flew towards the neon-colored night sky. Numerous metals, like 100 rivers and seas, gathered on top of Li Kunlun's head, splicing continuously, and the volume gradually expanded. With Li Kunlun's control, more and more scrap metal was added, so that the object above his head became larger and larger, gradually showing the shape of a giant sword. When the last piece of metal was spliced into it, the giant sword, which was completely spliced with metal, was finally formed. Li Kunlun then uses a strong current to magnetize the metal giant sword, which is generated by the mutual repulsion of the planet's magnetic field, so that it is suspended in the high air and will not fall. Okay, the Sword of Damocles that I gave to Zhongcheng base city is complete. After Li Kunlun finished this, he fell from the night sky and went back to his room to sleep. The next day, the Zhongcheng base city shook again. Everyone looked up at the sky, and they could see a 100-meter-long Sword of Damocles hanging over the Zhongcheng base city. This incident directly shocked Wuzun of the 4 major towns. Beiluo Wuzun immediately flew to the Sword of Damocles, trying to find out the origin of the matter. Li Kunlun, who was eating fried dough sticks and drinking soy milk in the morning, stood on the roof and beckoned to Wuzun Beiluo. Beiluo Wuzun landed, came to Li Kunlun, and saluted, "Master Special Envoy." No more politeness. Come. Li Kunlun took a mouthful of soy milk and swallowed the fried dough sticks. Beiluo Wuzun pointed at the 100-meter-long metal giant sword and asked suspiciously, "Does the Special Envoy know the origin of this giant sword?" Li Kunlun nodded and said, "Yes, I made this." "What? Made by the Special Envoy?" Beiluo Wuzun glared. He glanced at Li Kunlun, then turned to look at the Sword of Damocles hanging in the air, his eyes wide open, full of disbelief. "How did the Special Envoy do it, and why do you hang a giant sword in the air?" Li Kunlun said, "You don't need to know how to do it. As for why there is a giant sword hanging in the air, I can tell you." Li Kunlun looked up at the metal giant sword suspended in the air. "This great sword is called the Sword of Damocles. It is the sword I used to hang in the hearts of sinners." Oh, Beiluo Wuzun was stunned for a moment, puzzled. Recently, due to the siege of the monarch-level beasts in the base city of Zhongcheng, the public security has become extremely poor, chaotic, and the crime rate has continued to rise. What I want to do is to use the Sword of Damocles to stop crime, suppress Zhongcheng, and reduce chaos. Li Kunlun explained. Beiluo Wuzun smiled and said, "Master Special Envoy, can a giant metal sword that looks tattered and tattered, can suppress the security of a city?" "Can," Li Kunlun said decisively. "You go back and tell the other 3 Zhongcheng Wuzun, and let them and the people under them not move the Sword of Damocles." "It is good." Beiluo Wuzun agreed immediately. He was about to fly away when he glanced at the fried dough sticks and soy milk in Li Kunlun's hands. With an odd look on his face, Li Kunlun asked, "Have you eaten in the morning?" "Ha ha ha, how is that possible?" Beiluo Wuzun laughed a few times, then stopped laughing, and said seriously, "I didn't eat. Let's go. My mom just made breakfast, let's go downstairs and have something together." Li Kunlun drank the last sip of soy milk and invited. Beiluo Wuzun scratched his head. "It's too polite, how can you be embarrassed? Besides, how can I be a dignified Zhongcheng Wuzun? It's delicious. Your mother's cooking is so delicious." Beiluo Wuzun sat at the table, and after drinking the millet porridge, he praised with satisfaction. Mother Li smiled happily. "Kunlun, your friend is so polite. By the way, who is he, and how did he come down from the roof balcony with you?" Li Kunlun finished eating a beef patty and replied casually, "He, Beiluo Wuzun, one of the 4 towns of Zhongcheng base city Wuzun." Snapped. The bowls of Li's father and Li's mother fell to the ground at the same time. Zhongcheng Wuzun. For ordinary people, it is too far away. They are like the patron saints of the city, sitting in places where people can't see or touch, and they are full of majesty. Especially for Father Li. Li's father is a tower master who defends the fortress. He often comes into contact with the city defense soldiers at the top of the fortress, and often hears them talk about some legends about the Zhongcheng Wuzun. Therefore, Father Li had an inexplicable admiration and fear for Zhongcheng Wuzun. "Ha ha ha, You kid, what are you talking about? Juncheng Wuzun is in charge of every day, and needs to guard the entire base city, so how can he come to our house for breakfast? Mother Li laughed dryly and bent down to pick up the broken bowl on the ground. Really? Mom and Dad, when did I lied to you? Li Kunlun bent over to help Li Mother pick up the pieces of the bowl. I'm here to help. How dare Bailuo Wuzun sit still, and immediately help one. Mother Li brought the trash can from the kitchen and threw all the pieces into the trash can. Look, son, how can he have the air of being the Juncheng Wuzun? If it is Juncheng Wuzun, how majestic, how can he be the biggest big man in Zhongcheng Base City, how could he bend over to help me pick up the pieces of the bowl? In Li Mu's impression, the big man usually sits still, and others bring him tea and water, and serve him well. What's more, the other party is the Wuzun of the 4 major towns in Zhongcheng. In fact, Li Mother also did not think wrong. If it weren't for Li Kunlun's home, if it were someone else, Bailuo Wuzun would not be too polite, and he would have the majesty and air of Juncheng Wuzun. But this is the home of the special envoy to patrol Xinjiang, King Wu of the Yuan dynasty. How can Bailuo Wuzun dare to put on airs? He could not wait to bring tea and water to Li Kunlun's parents. Bailuo Wuzun said in disbelief. Auntie, it doesn't seem appropriate to be called auntie, anyway, lousy. I'm really Juncheng Wuzun. Father Li clapped the table and said angrily. You are Kunlun's friend, I don't want to talk about you, but what is the identity of Juncheng Wuzun, how can you pretend to be casual? Fortunately, let me tell you in private, if you are on the street, the City Defense Army can put you in jail for 10 days and a half months. Bailuo Wuzun. Li Kunlun. I am really Juncheng Wuzun, why don't you believe it? Bailuo Wuzun still wanted to explain. Bailuo, if my parents don't believe it, forget it. Li Kunlun said helplessly. After breakfast, Bailuo Wuzun wanted to sit down and have a cup of tea, but considering the important things at his disposal, he couldn't neglect his duties, so he could only ignore it. Go through the front door. Seeing Bailuo Wuzun walking towards the balcony, Li Kunlun said angrily. Bailuo Wuzun laughed, turned around and walked out the door. This child will not be given away either. Li's father and Li's mother glared at Li Kunlun, and hurriedly got up to send Wuzun to the north. Bailuo Wuzun said, please come back, don't be too polite. Li's father said, you are a friend of Kunlun, and it is the first time you have come to my house as a guest, how can you be too casual, it should be given away. Li Kunlun's parents sent Bailuo Wuzun to the elevator. At this time, the neighbor on the opposite door happened to open the door. Residents of Yipan in Zhongcheng are either rich or expensive. The neighbor of Li Kunlun's family is a major in the military of Zhongcheng Base City. His family has always looked down on the Li family, thinking that the Li family is a nouveau riche. The major's wife, in particular, always thought that Li Kunlun was able to move into Zhongcheng Yipan only because she climbed up with Qian Liner, the daughter of the Zhongcheng Chamber of Commerce. Coincidentally, this major happened to be the chief examiner of Li Kunlun and Li Xiaoyu's official martial artist exam, Major Zhang. Hey, your family has guests early in the morning. The major's wife who opened the door, saw Li's father and Li's mother at the elevator entrance, and Bailuo Wuzun, said yin and yang strangely. Oh, is this guest wearing a military uniform, is he also a military figure? Let's talk about what you do in the army, what rank, maybe my husband has heard of you, and he can promote you in the future. Father Li and Mother Li looked a little ugly, pressed the elevator, and said in a low voice, don't pay attention to her. Bailuo Wuzun's eyes lit up, but he felt that the opportunity to express himself had come. How could he let go of such an excellent opportunity to gain favor with the Li family? Bailuo Wuzun turned around, not angry but arrogant, and said coldly, I am curious, who is your husband, even I can promote. Father Li coughed dryly, grabbed Bailuo Wuzun, and said, her husband is a major in the military, and we can't afford to offend Wuzong's strength. The major's wife turned dark, and said with her hands on her hips, I'm on the left and I'm on the right. Who do you think you are? I see that you don't even have a military rank on your military coat, so I'm pretending to be here. You know, my husband is a major in the army in Baikang district. Oh, it's from Baikang district. Bailuo Wuzun smiled. Didn't it just fall into his hands? Bailuo Wuzun narrowed his eyes and said, Listen, I am Bailuo Wuzun, your husband's immediate boss. You are Bailuo Wuzun. The major's wife covered her mouth and laughed. Father Li's expression changed, and he quickly pushed Bailuo Wuzun into the elevator car. The elevator is coming, let's go. Impersonating Juncheng Wuzun is not a risky thing to play. Father Li and Mother Li were anxious. But they are ordinary people, how can they push a Wuzun? The major's wife's face turned cold, and she snorted. Dare to pretend to be Juncheng Wuzun, just wait, I must ask my husband to report to the military area. Wife, who are you talking to? Her husband's voice came from inside the house. The major's wife smiled and said, our neighbor Li's family has a little guy without a military rank. Little people, why waste my time with them? I have to go out quickly, or I will be late. Major Zhang put on his hat and military boots and walked out of the house. The major's wife hugged Major Zhang, smiled sweetly, and said, he also pretended to be Bailuo Wuzun. What? How dare you pretend to be Bailuo Wuzun? Wait, wife, I'd like to see who is so bold. Bailuo Wuzun. When Major Zhang saw Bailuo Wuzun, he was so frightened that he immediately stood at attention and saluted. Master Wuzun. What Wuzun? What are you talking about, husband? The lady asked incredulously. Major Zhang turned around and slapped his wife on the face, shouting, he is one of the 4 towns and cities in Zhongcheng Base City, the famous Bailuo Wuzun. What? The major's wife covered her face and was stunned. In any case, she couldn't understand that Bailuo Wuzun, one of the 4 town Wuzuns in Zhongcheng Base City, would come out of a commoner's home. Between the two, it is completely the difference between heaven and earth, cloud and mud, and there is no intersection at all. Li's father and Li's mother were also dumbfounded, and they had already heard it wrong. But the person who said this is Major Zhang again, and his credibility is very high. No matter how confused Major Zhang was, he couldn't possibly admit that his immediate superior was wrong. Mom and Dad, why haven't you come back yet? Li Kunlun came out of the living room. When Major Zhang saw Li Kunlun, he subconsciously called out, Li Kunlun. Bailuo Wuzun said quietly, Major Zhang, you dare to call the special envoy of Thunder Wudi, the name of the newly promoted Yuan Shi Wang. Special envoy to patrol Xinjiang, King Wu of Yuanxi. Boom, Major Zhang's brain roared, his eyes darkened, and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, he is an expert in the military, with excellent psychological quality, and regained his stability. Old husband, are you all right? The major's wife was shocked and suspicious, and asked in a confused way. Major Zhang turned around and slapped on his wife's face, and said angrily, you heard me. The major's wife's head was buzzing and she was stunned. She has always been doting on her, and is not even willing to scold her husband, how could he beat her? And he slapped him twice in a row, directly swollen his left and right cheeks. It was red, and 2 clear slap marks appeared. Zhang Yuanyi, you dare to hit me. The major's madam froze like a cat with its tail stepped on, and screamed. Lu Yuan, you're a shrew who sees lowly and doesn't know what's wrong. Major Zhang rolled up his sleeves and prepared to go up to continue smoking her. Bailuo Wuzun pulled Major Zhang and said lightly, okay, some women have long hair and short knowledge, so don't have the same knowledge as her. When Major Zhang saw Bailuo Wuzun let him go down the steps, he immediately said, thank you, Lord Wuzun, for what Lord Wuzun taught him. Major Zhang thought that Bailuo Wuzun gave him steps, but in fact, Bailuo Wuzun just didn't want their soldiers in the Baikang district to lose face in front of Li Kunlun. Idiot. Major Zhang grabbed the major's wife and said angrily, I haven't apologized to King Yuan Shiwu and his family. King Yuan Shiwu. The major's wife was beaten in the head, and then she remembered that Bailuo Wuzun seemed to have mentioned something about the Yuanxi Wang and the special envoy for patrolling the Xinjiang. King Wu of Yuanxi had never heard of it, but Lu Yuanyuan knew about the suffix of King Wu. King Wu, only under Emperor Wu, but above Wuzun. No, isn't he one of the candidates for your last official martial artist exam? How could he become a martial king? Lu Yuanyuan asked suspiciously. That's King Wu. Even if she was the major's wife, Lu Yuanyuan knew that her husband, Major Zhang, was far from King Wu. To crush a Wuzong, King Wu only needs 1 finger, as simple as killing an ant. Major Zhang couldn't help laughing, and said in his heart, I also want to know how the trainee martial artist in the past has become a high-ranking martial king in a blink of an eye. And he's still King Yuan Shiwu. There are already good people in the martial arts forum, and Li Kunlun is ranked second in the martial arts list. He directly pushed the original second-ranked, Thousand Hand Tathagata, Martial King, and the third-ranked Beiming Martial King down. King Wu of Yuanxi, who ranked second on the Wu Wang list, was far from something that their family could provoke. Major Zhang said, "Why do you care so much? If you want to apologize, you will apologize." He is not only the first emperor of the Yuan dynasty, but also the special envoy of Emperor Lei Tingwu, who has the power to supervise the Wu Wang of Zhenjiang and the Wu Zun of Zhencheng. King Wu of the Yuan dynasty, special envoy to patrol Xinjiang. The major's wife's brain roared for a while, her body swayed, and she almost fell to the ground. She leaned against the door frame and felt her head dizzy, as if she had been slapped dozens of times by Major Zhang again. Also buzzing, there are Li Kunlun's parents. Unlike the major's wife, Li's father and Li's mother were more shocked, puzzled, and unimaginable. The two elders stared at their son closely, and their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Li Kunlun's parents couldn't figure it out. Their son lived under his own eyes every day, and did nothing. How could he become the first emperor of the Yuan dynasty, and he was also the special envoy of Emperor Lei Tingwu? Is this secretly becoming the king of Wu, and then surprising the parents? With trembling legs, the major's wife came to Li Kunlun's family. She said with sincerity, "Happy Chinese New Year, big brother and sister-in-law." Everyone, "Bah, wrong." The major's wife slapped herself with a big mouth, and said again, "Big brother, sister-in-law, and Li Kunlun. Lord Wu, you adults don't care about villains, you are magnanimous, don't care about me like me. I used to be a dog's eye to see people low, and my eyes to not know Mount high, please forgive me." The major's wife slapped herself while apologizing. Li's father and Li's mother are honest people, soft-hearted, and quickly said, "Okay, big sister, everything is over." "That's right, everyone makes mistakes. Forgive you. We are still good neighbors." Major Zhang and his wife hurriedly bowed and thanked them, boasting that Father Li and Mother Li could not find Bei. To be honest, I was still very angry when I was looked down upon by their family before. But now, Li's father and Li's mother are proud. Humph. Li Kunlun snorted coldly. Major Zhang and the major's wife turned pale when they heard the hum. Only then did they realize that the most important person hadn't spoken yet. It is Li Kunlun who is the first emperor of the Yuan dynasty, and he is not Li Kunlun's parents, so it is up to Li Kunlun. Li Kunlun said blankly, "I'm not as talkative as my parents, but I'm not a very unreasonable person. My parents said it's okay, so I won't pursue it. But you listen carefully, don't let me see there is a next time, or you will be at your own risk." Major Zhang and the major's wife breathed a sigh of relief, and nodded quickly. "Understood, I understand, thank you Lord Wu for your generosity and generosity, you don't remember villains. Okay, what are you going to do?" Li Kunlun waved his hand and turned back to his home. Bailuo Wuzun glared at Major Zhang and said in a low voice, "I will be ashamed of Lao Su. If this matter is not handled well today, King Yuan Shiwu will make you lose your military rank." Major Zhang was also afraid for a while. Although Li Kunlun did not punish him severely and kept his military rank, but his future career, I am afraid that he will stop at the position of major, and there is no room for promotion. No way, offend someone who shouldn't be offended. It is impossible to pass so easily on the surface, and the punishment is definitely still there. Hey, people can't look at their appearance, and the sea can't be measured. How can Shibei be treated with admiration for 3 days? This is what can be seen as a grandfather. Major Zhang could only sigh, filled with emotion, and secretly said that he was unlucky. Who would have thought that a small character in the past could soar into the sky and become a big man today? As the old saying goes, 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi, don't bully the poor. Putting it on Li Kunlun, there are 30 years and 30 days. The rise of Li Kunlun is definitely faster than a meteor and more blazing than the rising sun. After returning home, Li's father and Li's mother were so excited that they sit on their feet and paced back and forth. Li Kunlun came to the open-air balcony on the top floor, put on a loose training suit, and sat cross-legged on a futon. In the blue sky above his head, a huge metal Dharma sword of Chris was suspended, as steady as Mount Tai, and the sharp sword tip pointed directly at the base city of Zhongcheng. Everyone on the road can't help but look up at the Sword of Damocles in the sky. They don't know where this giant metal sword came from. I don't even know what the role of this metal giant sword is. Li Kunlun sat cross-legged. The perception field was like a huge spider web, covering the entire Zhongcheng base city, and each spider silk overlapped with the crisscrossing streets. In this way, the huge base city is under Li Kunlun's perception. Son, when did you become the martial king of the beginning? Mother Li came to the open-air balcony on the top floor with a fruit plate. At this moment, Li Kunlun suddenly opened his eyes, and a cold gaze flashed from the bottom of his eyes. HMPH, courting death. In an instant, the Sword of Damocles suspended in the sky burst out with dazzling thunder. Mother Li was startled, and the fruit plate almost overturned. The Sword of Damocles in the sky, like a huge thunderbolt, burst out with dazzling golden light. Look, what happened to that giant sword? It seems like something has changed. As the sky about to thunder, pedestrians on the road stopped one after another, looked up at the sky, pointed to the Sword of Damocles, and said in shock and suspicion. Some of them were frightened and hurriedly got into the shops on the side of the road to hide. Dongcheng District, Shangzongli Street. There is a relatively well-preserved bank in the super animal tide. Because other banks were badly damaged, they temporarily transferred money to this bank for storage. According to some rough estimates, the bank's vaults may store billions of gold. Boom. At this time, the door of the bank blew open, and smoke billowed. An armored vehicle slammed open the gate and rushed into the street. This time it's developed. Go, 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 after doing this, you can retire and live forever. Ha 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 ha, cool, so happy. The armored vehicle drove onto the road, rampaged, and fled into the distance. Bang bang bang. On both sides of the armored vehicle, gangsters grabbed the roof and held a machine gun in one hand, frantically shooting at the security team that had just arrived. There was even a gangster who peered out of the car window, carried a recoilless bazooka on his shoulder, and fired a cannon at the police vehicle. A loud bang of pong. A car was directly overturned by the violent shock wave, blasting a large cloud of smoke and fire. A gangster laughed. Another gangster said, "Boss, look at the sky, that giant sword is glowing." The boss carried the bazooka and sneered, "None of our business, it gives its light, I give my money, it has nothing to do with each other, ha ha ha." In an instant, the Sword of Damocles disintegrated into a small piece of metal, followed by a golden thunder light, lacing down and hitting the armored vehicle directly. Boom! The golden thunder pierced the earth. That piece of metal, like an electromagnetic cannon, was wrapped in earth-shattering kinetic energy and directly smashed the armored car into explosions. There is no doubt that it is Li Kunlun who is far away in Zhongcheng Yipan who did all this. The Sword of Damocles he made was like the Rod of God, launching attacks in the sky. The only difference is that the Rod of God is a space-based kinetic weapon system. The system consists of 2 satellite platforms in low orbit, one of which carries a metal rod called the Rod of God. The metal rod is made of tungsten, titanium or uranium metal, with a diameter of 30 centimeters, a length of 6.1 meters and a weight of several tons. The Rod of God space-based kinetic energy weapon system will be launched in space, using high-density metal rods under the guidance of satellites, using small rocket boosters, and the huge kinetic energy generated by free fall to produce terrible destructive power. The metal rods it launches can hit the target at the speed of a meteor, 39,000 kilometers per hour. Li Kunlun's Sword of Damocles is obviously not high enough to use freefall to generate enough kinetic energy. Therefore, Li Kunlun used the current left in the Sword of Damocles to create an electromagnetic field, and the metal sheet was accelerated and shot out as a cannonball. In this way, the Sword of Damocles is not the Rod of God, but more like a simplified version of the railgun. On the other hand, there are crimes. Under Li Kunlun's spider sense, he can accurately find the location of the crime, and then control the Sword of Damocles in the sky to strike. In this way, no matter where a crime occurs in Zhongcheng, Li Kunlun can attack, and he can ignore the towering buildings. I saw that metal greatsword flashing lightning, and then it struck a bolt of lightning. What the hell happened? A new weapon developed by the military. Look, there are 2 lightning strikes, will it cause harm to us? People in Zhongcheng base city became panicked and rumors spread. This is the fear of the unknown. Soon, news came from the security team that the metal giant sword in the sky killed the criminal, but no other casualties were caused. So that's the case, King Yuan Shiwu, is this your method? When Bailuo Wuzun found out, he suddenly realized that after being shocked, he immediately clapped his hands in admiration. Quick, come here, hold a press conference immediately. Bailuo Wuzun said excitedly to his servants. After a while, all the TV channels in Zhongcheng Base City received the live broadcast of Wuzun Bailuo. Bailuo Wuzun told everyone not to panic. The metal giant sword in the sky was called the Sword of Damocles. It was the work of the newly promoted Yuan Shiwang. King Wu of the Yuan dynasty hung the Sword of Damocles in order to punish the wicked and stop the crimes that occurred in the base city of Zhongcheng, without any threat to ordinary people. After seeing the press conference, the whole city was shocked. What? It turns out that King Wu of Yuanxi was in our Zhongcheng base city. Now our Zhongcheng base city is safe. As I said earlier, this giant metal sword was made by King Yuan Shiwu. What metal giant sword? It's called the Sword of Damocles. Tell me, how did Lord Yuan Shiwu do it? Wu Wang Shenwei, how can we ordinary people understand and imagine? Most of the ordinary people applauded. And some wicked people who are active in the dark and want to commit crimes have red eyes. King Yuan Shiwu, what a nosy guy. What, can we knock down that weird greatsword? Find someone, unite, and try to bring down the Sword of Damocles. Chaos breeds sin. When the light shone, these evils actually banded together and formed an alliance. During the day, no crime occurred in Zhongcheng base city. Li Kunlun sat cross-legged on the futon, like an old monk in meditation, motionless, until the moon was covered with stars, and he opened his eyes again. The night is cold as water. In the past, the city of Zhongcheng, which used to be a bustling city, was particularly quiet tonight. A fat middle-aged man, wearing a suit, full of rings on his fat gut-like fingers, smoking a cigar. Beside him, a group of black-clothed bodyguards, carrying bazooka, aimed at the Sword of Damocles hovering quietly in the night sky. The middle-aged man, Bada, took 2 cigars, then glanced at his watch, and grinned. The time is almost up. A few of them are in place. It's time to start. Let this base city bloom with gorgeous sinful fireworks. A bodyguard in black next to him carried out an old stereo and played music. The fat man like a pig actually twisted and danced flexibly. Hee, the Sword of Damocles, I wonder if the dagger in my hand is sharp. An assassin who was wearing a nocturnal clothes, with a thin body and standing in the shadow of the alley, licked the sharp dagger in his hand. Zhongcheng, the order has finally collapsed, and it must not be rebuilt. An old man in a large kimono, with his hands in his sleeves and 2 katana swords slung around his waist, stood on the roof of a tall building. Apart from them, there are still many wicked people living in the shadows. Because of the Sword of Damocles, they stood up together. These people sensed a sense of crisis, and they didn't want the Zhongcheng base city to restore order. The Sword of Damocles made by Li Kunlun was not hung on the heads of the people of Zhongcheng, but hung on their heads. Guys who are just around the corner, it's time to take action. Li Kunlun reached out and picked up a piece of watermelon in the fruit bowl, took a bite, and muttered. He is like a good hunter, with a gun, hiding in the dark forest, waiting quietly. That field of perception, like a spider web, still shrouded the Zhongcheng base city. As long as the prey shows its feet, even a slight touch will allow Li Kunlun to capture the specific location. The fat man who was dancing tango snapped his fingers and said with a smile, "Fireworks, start." The 2 rows of black-clothed bodyguards standing beside them carried their rocket launchers, aimed at the Sword of Damocles high in the sky, and fired rocket launchers. Bam, boom, bam, bam. One after another, the rockets were launched, dragging the white airwaves and rushing towards the Sword of Damocles under the night sky. Dozens of rocket launchers bombed the Sword of Damocles together, and the scene was incomparably spectacular. Crack. Under the control of Li Kunlun, the Sword of Damocles disintegrated into dozens of metal fragments, like a tracking missile launched, and collided with the surrounding rockets. Suddenly, the dazzling firelight, like clusters of hydrangeas, bloomed one after another in the dark night sky, bursting out with a deafening loud noise. Yohoo, that's spectacular, keep firing rockets at me. The fat man put his palm in front of his eyebrows, looked at the night sky, and waved excitedly. The bodyguards in black began to reload, ready to continue firing rockets. Call out. A few pieces of metal fell like meteors, hitting the fat man and others on the open-air platform. Do not. The fat man screamed and was smashed into slag by the metal fragments. Let's do it, he he he. The knight-wearing assassin turned into a string of blood-colored afterimages, rose into the air, and charged towards the Sword of Damocles. The old man who stepped on the clogs suddenly grabbed the hilts of the two samurai swords with both hands, jumped up, drew the swords and slashed over. Lu Shengliu profound truth, 6 extermination Shira slash. The old man slashed his sword 3 times in an instant, and 6 blood-colored half-moon-shaped sword lights flew out in a crisscross pattern. Gia Gia Gia, old man, let's join in the fun, Gorefiend collection, 1,000 souls devouring heaven. In a dense forest near the lake, the youth, who was completely shrouded in black robes, let out a cold and harsh laughter. He actually possessed the cultivation of the realm of a military general. The Qi Dan in his body revolved, and the icy and majestic true Qi gushed out. The sleeves of the youth were bulging, and the power of the evil spirits in the shape of skulls rushed out and rushed into the sky. At the same time, there were others who took the opportunity. Kill, hee, let the Sword of Damocles fall. With so many of us, we can always break the Sword of Damocles, right? Break the Sword of Damocles. Smash the Sword of Damocles. Their goal is very simple, not to assassinate King Yuan Shiwu. Because these people also know that it is unrealistic at all, Yuan Shiwu Wang is too strong. The Martial Artist Forum has data on the strength of Yuan Shiwu Wang, including the specific values of strength and speed. Faced with such a powerful force and extraordinary speed, one word comes to mind invariably: invincible. To be precise, it is invincible in melee combat. No one wants to take a solid punch from Li Kunlun at close range. But these criminals didn't realize that Li Kunlun was so powerful that it wasn't just melee combat. A group of fish finally jumped out of the water. Li Kunlun, who was sitting cross-legged on the futon, showed a faint smile. 60 trillion cells in his body generated electricity, and he stretched out a palm and aimed at the Sword of Damocles above his head. Crack! Li Kunlun's palm turned completely golden, and a bucket-thick lightning burst out, like a serpent zigzagging at extreme speed, tearing through the night sky and landing on the Sword of Damocles. The metal texture on the surface of the Sword of Damocles, because of the splicing relationship, is like a circuit, shining a dazzling golden light. Suddenly, the Sword of Damocles received the power of Li Kunlun, and its power increased sharply again. Hundreds of metal fragments were disintegrated on the surface and lost out. Quote, quote, the deep night sky put on a beautiful performance. However, it is not the fireworks of evil, but the fireworks of the righteous path. Pieces of metal fragments, wrapped in the power of thunder, flew to every place Li Kunlun sensed. Nocturnal Assassin's dagger shattered. He was hit by several pieces of metal fragments and was directly torn apart. The old man who performed the 6 destruction Shira slash was similar, and a dozen metal fragments smashed him into a cloud of blood. Youth, in the realm of military commanders, is given special attention. Under the darkness of night, dozens of thunder-like metal fragments shot down. No, how did I get discovered? The youth turned pale with fright, and jumped into the lake in a panic. They only dared to use ghostly tricks in dark corners. No one dared to challenge King Yuan Shiwu head-on, no one. But who knows, the moment he made his move, he would be exposed under Li Kunlun's eyes. Backquote. Pung. Dozens of metal fragments smashed into the lake. In the next second, the entire lake exploded. Thousands of acres of lake water was blasted into the air, causing huge water columns to rise up, and then turned into torrential rain, rushing down. The young man, who hid and practiced the magic arts, naturally died as hard as he could. The movement in the night sky caught the attention of many experts in Zhongcheng. Some people happened to discover the abnormal shape of the Sword of Damocles. Wu Zun of the 4 major towns noticed the movement in the sky, and stood up suddenly, showing a startled look. King Yuan Shiwu is really a good trick. Using the Sword of Damocles as bait, we can catch criminals who can't usually hide. Hey, it's amazing. Fighting with a martial king, how dare they? They really fell into the chaos of Zhongcheng Zhao Qian's, which made them lose their calm. Well, when these guys were in good order, they hid so deeply that they couldn't even dig it out, and now they are finally dead. Wu Zun of the 4 major towns and many masters in the city are all very happy. There are good people in the world, and there are also bad people. Especially in the end times when beasts are rampant, there will be more people with twisted minds. When the order in Zhongcheng did not collapse, most of them secretly practiced magic arts, or were active in the hunting area outside the base city, doing things like killing people and robbing goods. Basically, these wicked people put away their fangs and claws, and honestly hide. Now, the horde of giant beasts has attacked Zhongcheng, causing the ritual and music to collapse. It's really difficult to get back together. If the suppression is severe, there will be a wave of rebound. Li Kunlun used the Sword of Damocles to lead the snake out of the hole, and took the opportunity to eliminate many evil people. After some noise, the night sky was quiet again. One after another, mutilated and charred corpses fell from the air and fell to the ground. Li Kunlun believed that Wu Zun of the 4 great towns, who noticed the movement, would do the finishing work for him, so don't worry. In this way, I believe that the order of the Zhongcheng base city will be re-established again. It's a pity, there must be some cunning guys who haven't shot, it's difficult to really catch them all. However, they will obediently put away their fangs and claws, lie on their stomachs when they should, hide when they should hide, and dare not come out and cause trouble. Forget it, call it a day. Li Kunlun got up and picked up the futon, went back to the room from the open-air balcony on the top floor. With the bedside lamp lit, Li Kunlun sat on the sofa chair, holding a book and reading. In the past 2 days, Li Kunlun came into contact with other ordinary animals, but he didn't gain much, so he started to find other things to do. For example, read a book. Ding, the host is reading, the cells are evolving, and the mental power has increased by 10 points. Ding, the host is reading, the cells are evolving, and the mental power has increased by 10 points. Ding, the host is reading, the cells are evolving, and the mental power has increased by 10 points. Ding, the host is reading a book, cells are evolving, and they have acquired the ability Omniscient Eye. Li Kunlun's eyes lit up and he heard the system prompt in his mind. Sure enough, if you want cells to evolve, you don't have to come into contact with living things. My daily behavior, breathing, drinking water, eating, stepping on the ground, touching the air, and perceiving and adapting to the surrounding environment can all make my cells evolve. It's just that this kind of ordinary accumulation is only a subtle change, and it can't achieve a qualitative change all at once, so it's inconspicuous. Li Kunlun found that his sense of perception has been enhanced a lot. Even the mysterious spiritual power seems to have been greatly improved. System, what is the Omniscient Eye? Li Kunlun asked silently. The system responded immediately. In simple terms, it is equivalent to the identification technique in the game. At a glance, Li Kunlun can know the other party's weight, height, race, various attributes and so on. Of course, this ability is not limited to creatures. Like flame burning, Li Kunlun can immediately know the temperature of the outer flame and the inner flame. Li Kunlun's Omniscient Eye can instantly analyze the trajectory of the ballistic trajectory, the initial speed of the bullet's flight, how strong it will explode, and so on. All this requires Li Kunlun's awareness to be high enough. In other words, as long as Li Kunlun's cognition is in place, the all-seeing eye can even break through the mysteries of the Tao. With Li Kunlun's current cognition, he activated his Omniscient Eye, and he could only see the temperature of the flame, but not the stream of particles moving at high speed. The book has Yan Ruyu, and the book has its own golden house. Sure enough, reading a book is still beneficial. Although the Omniscient Eye is an auxiliary ability, it has a great effect. Li Kunlun was very happy and started to nibble on the book again. Leaving aside the evolution of cells, Li Kunlun likes to read books. The knowledge depicted in the book expands his horizons. The world depicted in the book fascinated him. The poems recorded in the book made him sigh the beauty of words. It was late at night that Li Kunlun closed the book and went to sleep with his eyes closed. The next day, unsurprisingly, the Bayou Intermittent Cream and the Spring Rain Transformation Spirit that were purchased on the Warrior Forum were scattered. Li Kunlun followed the instructions of the Martial Artist Forum, and first applied the white jade ointment intermittently, rubbing it all over his sister's body. Then mix the Spring Rain Healing Powder with warm water and feed it to my sister. Bayou Intermittent Cream repairs Li Xiaoyu's damaged meridians. The spring rain transforming spirit powder can nourish the flesh and blood, and make the silent infuriating energy work again. Li Kunlun did all this, dressed her sister, and waited for her to wake up. After a while, Li Xiaoyu slowly opened his eyes. She saw Li Kunlun's face for the first time. Li Xiaoyu murmured, "Xiaoyu, you finally woke up." Li Kunlun was overjoyed at first, and then his face became stiff. "You don't pay much attention to your body, how can you cultivate without life?" Well, Li Xiaoyu lowered her head and sincerely admitted her mistake. Immediately, she raised her head again and said with a hilarious smile, "It's good that my brother is back." Li Kunlun gave a shudder, admiring it on his sister's head, and glared at her angrily. "If you don't know how to train hard in the future, don't blame me for not wanting your sister." "Aha! Cut, if you don't want it, it's not your own sister anyway." Li Xiaoyu turned her head away and muttered softly. "What did you say?" Li Kunlun's voice rose a few decibels. Li Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and grimaced. "I didn't say anything." "Grumpy." Li Xiaoyu cried out from hunger. "This." Li Xiaoyu covered her hungry stomach, her pretty face flushed immediately, and she muttered, "Brother, do you have anything to eat at home?" Li Kunlun smiled helplessly and said, "You take a shower first, and I'll let my mother cook." He walked out of the room and let Li Xiaoyu take a bath and change clothes. Baiyu intermittent ointment has the medicinal effect of washing the essence and cutting the marrow. In addition, Li Xiaoyu was in a coma for 2 or 3 days and did not take a bath, so it was time to take a good shower. Li Kunlun came to the living room and told Li's father and Li's mother the news of Li Xiaoyu's recovery. When the 2 elders heard it, they were naturally overjoyed. Mother Li said, "I haven't eaten for a few days, I guess Xiaoyu is starving, so I'll cook now." Li Kunlun shouted, "Mom, Li Xiaoyu just woke up, her body still needs to recover, don't make it too greasy or too salty, it's better to be light." Mother Li turned back and said, "Stinky boy, can I understand? Also, this is a small stove for your sister, you and your father don't have to eat it." Father Li laughed, and his mood suddenly improved a lot. "My sister is awake, so I can go to the Hengduan Mountains and hunt the Dragon King of Wanshan." Li Kunlun thought to himself. According to President Zhou, although Li Xiaoyu had regained consciousness, his meridians were still very fragile and could not withstand the pressure of the collapsed vortex congealing pill. If you want to successfully condense the Qi Dan, you must at least bathe in dragon blood and be reborn. Otherwise, Li Xiaoyu's martial arts achievements will stop at the realm of martial arts for the rest of his life. The effect of dragon blood has been studied by the Ferocious Beast Research Institute. The best of course is Tiamat, the feral dragon. Taiji Martial Emperor created a 16-year-old female martial emperor with the dragon blood of the final demon dragon. This shows the mystery of dragon blood. Of course, Tiamat's strength is too strong. Looking at other emperor-level beasts, it is probably the strongest existence. With Li Kunlun's current strength, he will definitely not be able to defeat Tiamat, the final demon dragon, and obtain the dragon's blood. Can only be replaced with other dragon blood. The Wanshan Dragon King of the Hengduan Mountains is one of the most powerful beings among the beasts of the dragon class under the final demon dragon. The dragon blood of the Dragon King of Wanshan is definitely the best substitute for the dragon blood of the ending demon dragon. After lunch, Li Kunlun packed up, put on the dawning combat uniform that arrived, and left Zhongcheng Base City alone. This time, he wanted to hunt the Dragon King and take the initiative to enter the restricted area of life. The Hengduan Mountains are not the same place as the forbidden area of life where the earthly python is located. The forbidden area of life generally refers to the territory of the emperor-level beasts. Humans are absolutely forbidden to set foot in it, and the danger index is SSS level. The habitat can be divided into forbidden areas of life, which is enough to prove the horror of the Dragon King of Wanshan. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.